Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Into the Mind podcast. Today we have a very special guest in Sarah Rodgers. Now, Sarah is actually a world-renowned photographer that works with brands like Sony, Polar Pro, the North Face, 66 North, and a ton of other brands. And I have no doubt that you probably have seen her work at one point in your life just without knowing it. In this podcast, we talk all about how you can harness your social media platforms for your personal brand or for your business. We also dive into ADHD and how to keep motivated, how to keep a structure around you when you work in a more creative job that doesn't have the regular 9 to 5 working hours. This was honestly such a fun conversation, and I think you honestly are going to take a lot from this podcast. And without further ado, my name is Harrison Brown. This is the Into the Mind podcast, and enjoy. Yeah, you just sync everything together. That looks good. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I feel like I've already been chatting for ages.
I know. So talk to me about YouTube. You were saying that that's something that, because you're obviously in the Instagram space, photography and videography. Videography's coming now. Am I right?
Yeah, kind of.
Kind
it's,
of?
Well, I'm taking lots of video. I'm just not editing them.
Okay, that's a good start.
Like, I've been trying since the Finland trip to kind of put together a vlog, and I keep getting there. And I sit down and I go to edit it, and I'm just like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing.
Is there something specific? Like, because I know that whenever I do edits on virtually anything, it's always the music that I can't decide on. Is that
literally? So I spent like 2 hours on Epidemic, just like trying to find bits.
Shite.
Yeah, literally. I'm just like, it's not what I want.
Yeah.
I'm thinking this vibe, and then I can't find it, and then. Yeah, so then I tried putting in what I could find, because there were some nice ones. But then when I tried to like put it into the sequence, I was just kind of like, this is not working.
How not? Is it just not the right vibe? Or
well, I think I'm just not good at music.
Okay. Okay.
Like I'm so happy with so many of the clips, and I'm so happy with a lot of what I've captured. But when it comes to adding the music and cutting it for 30 seconds and then maybe adding into something else, I'm like, this doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't think I'm musically inclined.
It's not musically inclined. I think it's just you'll have a song in your head, or at least I do. I'll have a song in my head that I just can't use because it's licensed. So then you need to choose something different, and it totally changes the whole, like, the music is everything. Like, I've had clients, I shot a wedding when I was quite young, and they came back and were like, yeah, we really like it, but can you just change the music? And I was like,
no, fuck. It's the worst thing to ask.
I need to get rid of the whole thing.
Why would you ask that? Of all the things to change, why is it the music?
Yeah, the worst. I was like, anything else, like changing clips or whatever, the music just totally alters the whole thing.
Yeah, it really does. It really, like, I think for me, music makes scenes for me so much. I think that applies to everyone, though. Music is kind of what makes a scene.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like really important to get right, and then I just feel like I'm never getting it right. It's just that voice in my head that's like, nope, you're not Hans Zimmer. Like, you know, it's like one of those scenarios, and I'm like, well, of course I'm not. Like, it's Epidemic. There's
always a way around it, though. I don't know if you follow. There's a guy called Jacob Mahamalo.
I don't know.
Or I'm gonna get something to butcher a second name. I think it's Jacob Mahamalo. It's something like that.
Right.
So again, super young. It's so annoying seeing all these young people that are just so talented, and I'm like, it's like oh.
I know.
But he cuts with music. At least in his new video, he used tons of music that's just like never been heard of before.
Amazing.
And it's actually quite refreshing to not have like the standard like Instagram tracks running through them or like Kanye West album in the background.
He's cancelled now, isn't he?
Is he? Did you see what he did at the oh my God.
We'll probably edit this one.
Yeah. So he had like the Super Bowl ad.
Yeah.
For 30 seconds, which was just weird.
Yeah.
And then he had a had a link to his website.
Did you see what he was selling?
Nazi t-shirts.
£17.
Pretty good price. It's not a bad price.
I showed my dad, and he was like, that's actually quite cheap.
That's very reasonable.
I'm like, no, don't even think about it. My dad's like super sarcastic, so he'd probably just do it to troll everyone. I'm like, no, stop it. Like, sit down.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah.
He's mental. But he's probably just wanting everyone to talk about him. And like to be fair, it does work. Yeah. But then, did you see he got like, I'm trying to put this in a PC way. He he essentially got sucked off by his missus on a boat in Venice. Did you see that?
I only see that she's half naked all the time.
Yeah. So he got, essentially they were doing whatever they were doing on a boat in Venice when everyone can see. This guy's almost 50.
Is he really?
He's 47, I think. He's 47.
Wow.
It's like, he's like old. And the fact that he's still just like, he's got kids. Can you imagine your kid being like, oh, there's dad on a boat with mum? Like, it's so weird.
I think he's just kind of rage baiting. I mean, I still think he's unhinged and everything he's saying is wrong.
Is he bipolar?
I don't know.
Schizophrenic, bipolar.
The way he behaves, I'm sure it's something.
He's got something wrong.
He's got something. But yeah, I just think like he kind of, so at some point he needs to stop. Like, I think before when he was doing it, we kind of were just like, oh yeah, that's Kanye.
It's just Kanye. Yeah.
But now it's kind of like, okay, you need to stop now.
Like, I think when you bring in like Nazi swastikas and like just some of the shit he's saying about like Jewish people and like,
it's horrendous.
It's
absolutely horrendous.
The fact he's getting away with it is just like bizarre.
Yeah.
So wild. Do you know anyone that kind of like baits like that in terms of to get views?
Not that extensive. Like not.
You know, that's pretty. That's
extreme.
Yeah.
Like that's extreme. But I do have I have a friend who like will share, like when he's on a mountain and then it's not very safe and he like will actively be like, oh, I'm rage baiting for the views, and I'm just like, okay. Like,
no, that kind of works though, I suppose. But that's not hurting anyone. That's not like.
No, but it does work because people, you get all the people coming in going, that's not how you're supposed to be doing it in the mountains. This isn't safe. And they still kind of like rage baiting. And I'm kind of like, why trigger people?
Yeah.
And also, why are you being unsafe? Like, I was one of them. I messaged him privately. I was like, what are you doing?
Why are you doing that?
I was like, I don't need you dying on me.
Yeah.
And then he's
is that a friend?
Yeah, it's a friend.
Yeah.
I messaged him. I was just like, what are you doing?
But it does work.
It does work. Yeah.
I did one of my like the most viral video I ever got. You know, there's like sneaker waves in Iceland.
Yes, I saw that one.
Yeah. That was like
amazing.
Yeah, but that was like the most but that was also because so many Icelandic people were like, you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah, I get rage baiting.
Yeah, they were like, you were absolutely like stupid. Like you could die.
Yeah, I had one actually, also Iceland. And it was completely false, like what I was being accused of, which was crazy. Like basically at Skogafoss, there was it was really icy, so you could walk all the way up to the waterfall. Skid. Well, the thing is, I didn't even go. Yeah. I didn't walk up to the waterfall. Jack did.
Is it the right hand side you're talking about?
So basically, like it was all frozen over, so like you could literally just walk on the water.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I kind of get what you mean. I think it was similar to when I was there.
I really don't know, but it was like basically completely frozen over, so you could walk all the way up to the waterfall, and there was no signs or anything. And I posted it like 2 weeks later because I don't post while I'm there, or like I take my time to edit.
Do you backlog your content?
Yeah. But what happened is that in the time that I had taken to edit it, I was in the UK. Yeah. Basically, a bunch of barriers had been put up telling tourists not to walk over. But those weren't there when I was there. So when I shared it, all the Icelanders got really mad at me, saying that you're not supposed to cross the barriers. I'm so disappointed in you. And I was like, I didn't cross. I was like, it's not even me. I didn't even walk. I know. Like, it was someone else. Like I was photographing someone else do it.
Did it do well though? I'm guessing it did well.
It was all right. Like it didn't really like fly. I don't think I've ever really been an account that just flies. I kind of have either decent or terrible engagement. It's like,
but you've been growing, like I know we talked about it before, but you've been growing, especially on Instagram, for like you're quite consistently growing.
Yeah, it's like except for now, but like,
but you were normally in a net positive of followers, right?
Yeah, for like 4 or 5 years, it kind of like was steady growth.
That's pretty good though, because people, I feel like when people go really viral, and they get like a shit ton of followers all of a sudden, and then all of a sudden, like maybe they miss a week of posting and then all of those followers are like, why did I follow this guy again?
I find it damages the account actually, because like I I remember I was feeling like really disappointed because I wasn't getting the same boost as everyone. And then I saw a lot of people like overtaking me with like their viral reels and stuff. And I was like, I'm not getting any viral reels.
God damn it.
Like, damn. But literally like a few months later, their accounts just died.
Yeah.
Like their engagement was terrible. They're like, they weren't growing anymore. They're still stuck where they are. They haven't grown since. And like, their engagement's actually worse than what it was prior to going viral.
Yeah.
And I thought, like, that's interesting. Why is that? Like, why give a boost of engagement only to just crash your account? Like, it's so weird. Like,
it's weird. I think it's over, like, you remember in COVID when everyone got into TikTok?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm glad I never did, actually. I feel like TikTok is mind-numbing.
It's brain rot.
Yeah.
You scroll through TikTok and it's like hours will go by.
I don't even understand how it's different though, because like the same content is on Instagram, but there's just something about the way TikTok works
and feeds it to you.
Feeds it to you that is just, it just hooks you in that much more. And I'm like, how?
Yeah.
How are you doing that?
But I think, well, you know how you're saying Instagram kind of like you go viral and then you die.
Yeah,
so
you die.
You die. Pretty much your account's dead. But like the TikTok algorithm's the same.
Yeah.
So during COVID, I was posting on TikTok and they were going really well, got like a load of followers, and then but those followers don't actually mean anything. It's just like a number that you compare yourself to others.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
And then you post, you miss a month of posting, you post, and it's dead. And like you can't reactivate the account. But I think the way that you've done it in terms of growing, because I followed you like I said like 6 years ago.
I still can't believe that. I had no idea. I'm really sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, you just didn't follow me back.
Sorry.
but I remember following you like 6 years ago, and it's like being consistent. Like you've never had a phase where you've gone like way up and then come way down.
No. It's kind of just like, I mean, at the moment I dropped. Like I think the last year, it just kind of just was slowly decreasing. It's the first time where I've kind of just gone, what is going on? Like I've had slow periods of growth, but usually over time it's been like a steady growth. And then the last year and then this year, it's just not been growing at all.
I wouldn't worry about it.
But I just keep going and just like, whatever, like it will happen when it happens. Like,
yeah. And I wouldn't worry about it. I think that the best thing that anyone can do, and I've said this so many times, is get into YouTube.
Yeah, which is kind of what's happening.
Yeah, because YouTube is like, it takes longer to create and craft and like build your audience, but your audience aren't seeing you for like 2 seconds a day. They're seeing you for like 4 minutes, 5-6 minutes, and like over the weeks they connect with you and build a relationship, and like they feel like they actually know you. And I think it's such a nicer community too. Like you also don't, I know it feels weird because obviously you do get a lot of rage on YouTube as well, but I still think it's still nicer than Instagram. I'd agree.
Like people don't fully like hate on you.
Yeah.
They may have constructive criticism or just criticism, but it's still said in a way that you can kind of either laugh at it or go like, oh, whatever, that's just their opinion. Whereas like with Instagram and TikTok, if there's any kind of criticism, you literally want to die. Like, you're literally there like, oh my God, I'm a horrible person. You're questioning everything. And and it's just, I think the community is so much nicer. And I've not even posted anything yet, but I see it with my friends, and Jack's recently got monetized.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What's he doing? Is he doing vlogs?
Well, he spent like 2 years or something doing vlogs, and then he kind of fell out of love with it for a bit, and then he did this challenge where he ran 5K a day for a year.
I did see that.
The psychopath.
I did see that. I actually saw the videos of him in Glencoe when it was like pissing it down with rain, and he was out running, and I was like, you are a nutter.
But he loves it. He like thrives in those conditions. I'm like, you're just unique.
A unique individual.
I have no other words. You're just unique. But basically that video, he made a video on it, and it kind of pushed him to get monetized, and since then it's just still continuing to grow, and just seeing the comments he gets is just really lovely. I mean, there's some that are absolutely hilarious. Like, there's some that are just like, why even comment? But I think the majority are just like really nice. And like, I feel like Instagram's lost that. Like,
it's quicker. It's like just a quick platform. And I think YouTube's more like considered in a way. Like, I think it depends what scale, how many subscribers has he got now? Is he
3,000 something?
3,000.
Yeah, still small.
But it's an engaged group.
Yeah, but it's still just like the people really do kind of they kind of almost like really fall for you in a way. Like they kind of care about you and genuinely want to like watch you as a person and what you're up to. And I think that's something that I would like to achieve in YouTube as well, like just kind of show them what I like doing, which I think I kind of am disappointed I didn't prioritize YouTube earlier, because
it would be easier to grow it
well,
earlier.
yeah, it'd be easier to grow maybe, but also like I just think it's more what I was aiming to achieve through Instagram. Like I just wanted to show what I love doing, which was just traveling. Like I always, like photography was always second. It was kind of like, for the longest time, I think for like 3 years in my bio, it said adventure first, photography second. I still kind of believe in that. Like, because I'd be doing this anyway without a camera. Like all the traveling that I do, I would still be doing it even if I didn't have a camera in my hand. So I just kind of wanted to capture what I was doing. And then Instagram, the photos were there and stuff, but it's so much harder to show the story, I think. I mean,
you only get 3 frames.
Yeah, like carousels helped, but it was never really like, I don't know. I feel like I could have offered more substance. I just never was motivated enough. I just felt the video was too much work.
Is it because you didn't know? Like, I feel like with a camera will be like autopilot for you. So you'll pick up camera, you'll know how to do your aperture, you'll do whatever you do, and you'll get a beautiful shot. Is it the learning of the video side of things that is kind of quite big and it's kind of challenging for you? Yeah,
like I didn't like when everything shifted to Reels. I was one of those that was like, screw Reels. I
did that for a while as well.
You know, I was like, I really held off. And then I think it was Carl Shakur, he posted something about adapting. And I was like, oh, well, he's like the GOAT. So like, I got to listen to him. So I was like, fine, I'll adapt. And then I started getting jobs for Reels, and basically what kind of set me down this path, it's quite funny actually, because I got a job for Polar Pro and I went to Namibia to shoot like one of their filters.
That's it.
It was good fun, but I did a terrible job, like straight up terrible job. Like,
for a reel or for photos?
It was a reel, but it was one of those like really just terrible copy paste type reels. Like, and I watched it and I was like, yeah, okay, that'll do, like whatever. And then I watched someone else who also went to Namibia and did a job for Polar Pro. And it was insane. And and I literally, and I was like, I looked at it and I looked at myself and I was like, that's not good enough. You need to do better. Like, and I was just like, this isn't okay. Like, you cannot be okay with that standard. And then I've also got this like added pressure of like, I hate being this person, but like when you're a woman in the industry, I hate being seen as like being hired because I'm a woman.
Right.
Like,
okay.
So if I'm doing terrible content and I'm a girl, I don't want people to go, oh, well, she's shit. You know, like she's only being hired because she's a girl. I want people to not even recognize if I'm male or female at all and just see the standard as good as the men.
Yeah, just judge the work.
Yeah, I want to. Yeah. And so like I have this like in the back of my mind all the time that like I need to match. I either need to match or be better than everyone else. That's
quite good though. You set yourself like a high bar and then you keep trying to get towards it.
Like I don't want to be like the shit token female. You know, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I say that in like the most PC way possible. Not really. But
well, no, it does make sense though. It makes sense. Like so many people hire based on like, well, we need a woman, or you know, and or. Yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from. I don't think that's a bad thing to say.
Yeah, okay. That's good then. But basically like...
Cancelled.
Yeah, I know, right? Just dead. Like cancelled. But it was just one of those things that I was like, oh God, like I don't want people thinking that I'm literally just here because I'm a woman. Like I want people to think that I am good at this.
And judge your work.
My work instead of like my race or gender, you know? So I basically just kind of, from there, I that's when I decided I'd buy the ZVE one. And like dedicate my time to just practicing video. And then we drove to Norway.
To Lofoten.
To Lofoten. Yeah. That was my third time driving from Scotland to Lofoten.
You drove, wait, I thought you meant like drove from the airport. You drove from Scotland.
We drove from Scotland.
Holy shit.
I've done it 3 times. It's actually amazing. I recommend it.
Really? Oh, well, I'm guessing you see things that like nobody else will see.
Yeah, so... Well, the first time I went, it was kind of like a crisis drive. Like I had just broken up with my boyfriend and I was like finding myself.
In the mountains in Norway.
Yeah, so, oh my God, it's like free. So
you went by yourself then?
I went by myself in the middle of
Christ,
winter in my Ford Focus that's just like sat outside right now. Like, and I didn't even have winter tires, which I'm pretty sure is illegal.
In Norway, probably.
In Norway. I'm like, and I just drove, and then I spent like 6 weeks just out in Norway, and then now that I have the van and it's a bit more appropriate to like actually,
it's a bit bigger.
Yeah, because I was living in my car for 6 weeks at like -30.
Wait, you were living in your car? So you didn't get like an Airbnb?
No, I literally slept in my car. I like set up the back to like, I car
You're
camped.
nuts. You're nuts.
I know. It was like -30 and like, yeah, I just kind of just
Did you have
drove.
a heater?
No heater. But the car's surprisingly warm. Like, I was genuinely surprised because a lot of people were kind of like, how did you keep it warm? And I just kind of like made makeshift curtains. And then I had a sleeping bag and a duvet. And then it was all right. It wasn't that bad.
Oh my God. So you didn't shower for like 6 weeks?
Well, no, okay. Obviously, obviously I showered. I was really like, I met up with other influencers while I was there, and I got to like shower in their Airbnbs and stuff. And
so you
were
just like, please let me go.
Yeah. And
Please let me shower.
I think people kind of took pity on me as well because they were like, "Who's this British girl just on her own?"
Where did you stay in Norway? Like, did you? So you stayed in the car, but who were the people you met up with?
God, so this was such a long time ago now. This was my first. So this is actually what propelled my journey into photography.
So that's the first trip you went on.
This
and
Norway
that was
trip.
like 3 years ago.
That was 2018.
2018,
Yeah,
right? Okay, so that's like almost 8 years ago. 7 years ago. Yeah, 7 years
I
ago.
don't even know. I can't math. Brain is not braining. So 2018, actually this time of year. And I just drove. Like, I just got in my car and I set it up and then I was just like, I want to go to Norway, and then went, and I had my little Canon 60, I think.
I'm glad you're shooting Canon.
Well, I'm Sony now. Oh, I'm sorry.
No. to be fair, I don't know what's the month? February.
Yeah.
So my contract, this podcast will come out after my contract ends. Sony's probably getting better than Canon. Like, that's I actually do agree that, but I think that they are getting better. I think that, like, how did you find shooting Canon versus?
So I love Canon. Like, I still will always love Canon. I loved the feel of it. I loved, like, I don't know. There's something about just how when you hold a Canon, it just feels nice.
It feels better.
I don't even know how to describe it other than it just feels nice. So I was my little Canon 60, and yeah, I just loved it. But the Sony is like, the low light is unmatched.
That's what attracts me to it.
The low light is unmatched.
You can literally film, like, my pal. Do you know Jacob Murray?
Yes, I think so.
Jacob Murray, yeah. So a lot of the trips we go on, I go with him, and whenever we're filming like watch brands or whatever.
Yeah.
But he has a Sony, I can't remember which Sony, but it's the low light is insane.
Yeah.
Like, he'll film the Northern Lights pitch black, and he'll still get the Northern Lights, and it will be like not that grainy. No. It's bizarre.
Yeah, so that's partly why I got the ZV-1, because the ZV-1 essentially has like the same
low light.
Well, it's essentially just a mini FX3. And I'm like, why would I get the FX3 when I could just get the ZV-1? And it's like the ISO is 12,800. That's their second base ISO, 12,800.
It's wild.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, just amazing.
Yeah, you can see more than your eye can.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the same with what you were saying about shooting the Northern Lights. When we saw them from the plane, when I was frantically trying to find a window.
Did you shoot them from the plane?
I managed to shoot them from the plane.
That's cool.
And it was, I mean, it's still quite dark because it wasn't that powerful of an aurora, but, you know, the fact that I can even capture it real time is still like...
And not time lapse it.
Yeah, like that's awesome.
Yeah.
It was handheld.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and it's handheld. I was hanging over a seat trying to like borrow my friend's window because I was sat in a Ryanair seat that didn't have a window, which is insane. I didn't even know that existed. Me and my friend Haley were absolutely like so upset. We were just like, we don't have a window.
The one flight you get Northern Lights.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden everyone kicked off saying there was Northern Lights, and we literally looked at each other like, can you believe this? Yeah. So yeah, I borrowed my friend's window, so I was like leaning over the seat, and then he was trying to cover me to stop the glare, and I was like this, like trying to shoot the aurora. Yeah, but I got it, and like it's like the stabilization of that little camera is so good too. Like, you can barely tell that I'm moving around, and like can barely stand. Like, and yeah, honestly, like Sony, it's just really good. Like,
do you know, I think it'd be really interesting if people could see like the behind the scenes of how people shoot. Because like I like you there, people were like covering you to try and get rid of the glare.
Yeah.
Like normally when I'm shooting, I've got like a reflector board here and I'm like a camera here, and then I've got two people over here shooting a different angle, and it's just like chaos.
Absolute chaos. Well, because my voice broke. that plane was absolutely hectic because I think most people on that trip on that plane had just spent a week in Finland
to try and see the Northern Lights.
Also not seeing the Northern Lights because, you know, we just spent the week there. There were no Northern Lights. And then, and you had messaged me as well saying like the activity is looking strong. And I was like, great, I'm not going to be there. I was like, great.
Probably
I was like,
timing.
Thanks for reminding me, mate. I was like, so literally, everyone was just crazy, like looking for it. So the plane, everyone stood up. Everyone was trying to go to one side because it was on one side. Then it moved to the other side. So everyone was trying to run to the other side. And so it was just frantic. And literally the captain had to put the seatbelt sign on to like calm everyone down.
Everyone get in their seats.
Yeah, they were like, we understand the excitement, but sit the fuck down. Like, so yeah, and then eventually it kind of like calmed down. And then that's when I managed to like get nice shots of...
Do you think that's like those kind of moments are what inspired you to get into this? Like it was it the more travel side of things and then you wanted to document it? Like how did that come about?
Well, I've always traveled because like I was born in Singapore. My first my first flight was when I was 4 months old.
Oh wow.
Like
okay.
I still have my passport where it's just a baby. And I'm just like like I'm not. I literally look like
awkward stare.
I look like a glob. Like I'm barely like. I'm like, how is that even valid? So that was my first flight, 4 months, and then we moved to Scotland, and then throughout most of my childhood, I didn't move. I traveled to and from Singapore because mum is Singaporean, dad's Scottish.
Right.
But we'd go back to Singapore quite a lot, and we were quite fortunate to have like a lot of family holidays, and we would go skiing and stuff. So I've always kind of like loved traveling. And then at 13, I moved to Canada.
Wow, right. Where in Canada did you go?
So I lived in, well, not exactly the nicest place of Canada, but I was just outside Toronto. So
you were near, you were in Toronto.
Yeah.
Okay.
The non-mountainous side.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, not to say there's not nice bits there, but I basically, like, this is the part of, like, me that not, like, the Instagram world just doesn't know. But,
doesn't
like,
see.
I used to be a figure skater.
Really?
Yeah, so I used to train, like, 6 days a week and, like, was, like, really, like, trying to achieve, like, an Olympic goal. Yeah, so I moved to Canada at the age of 13 without my parents.
To train?
To train.
Oh
like,
my
it was
God,
kind of like a skating boarding school. So like I trained with Olympic coaches and like there was like world champion skaters there and stuff like that. And so I spent 2 years there. My mum was living in Oman at the time, and my dad's a diver, so he works abroad a lot. So I never saw my parents for like ages.
A long time.
So I was very used to traveling from like, and being on my own for quite a long time, because I was basically looking after myself at quite a young age. And then after Canada, I kind of, we moved back together as a family to Singapore and then came back to Scotland. And then I thought, well, flying doesn't bother me, but I do want to see more of the world. So I think what kind of pushed it was my then boyfriend. We went to Australia and New Zealand together. And we lived we rented a van for like the 2 months that we were in Australia and then a month in New Zealand. And we just traveled around the East Coast. And from there, I was just kind of hooked with like van life. And I loved the idea of just being in nature all the time. And I still wasn't photographing then. He was actually a photographer, so he kind of took everything.
Right.
And I was just always in the photos and stuff. And then we kind of got to a point where I was kind of sick of like not taking
control.
Yeah. I kind of like I slowly just kind of grew a bit more and more confident. And then by the time we broke up, that's when I decided to do the Norway trip. And then that's kind of what led to me taking the photos and actually like pursuing that. Okay. And then I met Jack later that year, and then I moved into his van.
And when did that, like, I'm so confused because I thought you guys were together for way longer than you actually were.
Yeah, I know.
So when you were living together, you weren't together?
No.
Right.
Literally
okay.
for like the first 2 years or something.
Okay.
But the thing is, this is like, it was better for me to keep it secret. And it sounds so shit because obviously that's horrible. But like...
It was better for me to... I would have clipped that.
Hear me out. So basically, again, this goes back to like being a woman in the industry, which I always hate referring to. But
so you didn't want to...
But basically what happens is that everyone would attribute my work to him. Or they would say my success was only because of him. Yeah. And I even had clients message me asking to work with him.
Right.
So people were messaging me being like, "Hi Sarah, would love to work with Jack. Can you let me know how like
That's
we
pretty
can Yeah. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, so, and there was a lot of kind of like sexist issues back then where like girls were always kind of being bullied for not taking their own photos. So like...
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So they all thought it was the males that were doing the photography
stuff.
Yeah.
So, and that was like a big thing back 2018, 2020, up to 2020. I think no one really cares now, which is why I'm a lot more chill with like people knowing. But like, it was just that time on Instagram was just not great.
Yeah, so you were just very aware of it.
Yeah, and right. Like, and he's so chill, and like
he's the chillest guy you'll ever meet.
He's literally so chill. He's like, yeah, do what you want. I don't care. Like, I don't mind. I was like, okay, that's fine. But honestly, I think if I hadn't kept it quiet, I don't know if I would have had the same success as if I had now. Because a lot of, like, I did have clients literally treating me like his assistant.
It's a shame that people think that way. Like, it really is.
Yeah.
That's really a shame. And do you think what is it that is so special about van life? What is it that like made you want to live in your van, relatively little responsibility in terms of household issues?
Yeah. Well, that's actually why I like it.
Right.
Because I'm very much like the simpler the better. The simple things in life mean more to me. Like, I don't like
fancy stuff.
No. Yeah. I'm not like into car. Well, okay, I like F1 and stuff, but like I don't need a fancy car. Like,
yeah, that makes sense.
You know what I mean? Like, I do like cars. I don't need one. You know.
We've got a van.
I've got a van. You know, it's a shitty van that breaks all the time, but I love it.
And that's where the stories come from. Isn't
it?
Exactly.
So, I just love the simplicity of things. It just simplifies life. It makes everything. We take everything day by day. That we don't even have a fridge. So
you just get stuff.
So we get stuff like every 2-3 days. We have to buy fresh quite regularly. And Scotland's cold enough, so it's all right. Kind of, don't really need one anyway. It's always Baltic here.
Yeah. Just put them outside.
Yeah, literally. And then where we staying tonight? Where are we staying tomorrow? Should we go here? Should we go there? We kind of just have free reign to do whatever we want. And then, if we're gonna go hike somewhere, we can just literally sleep at the bottom of the car park. And
you don't need to get up mega early.
Don't need to get up mega early. Don't need to drive 2 hours to get there. And it kind of enables me to do my job as well, because again, with clients, if they're like, we need you to shoot in the mountains somewhere, I'm like, great, I'm already there. It's super easy. I mean, sometimes it's inconvenient because they'll need to send me
goods, and you're like, I don't know what to send it to.
I need to go back to Glasgow and then go back. So there's still inconveniences, but I'd still take that over, just living in a house permanently, I think.
Do you think it's like the stress-free nature of it? Like, do you think that's what it is? Is it just the fact that you don't have for example, I got a parking ticket the other day. The council won't accept the fact that I've got a property here for some reason, so they won't accept my permit. Like all those issues that stack up. Like my boiler broke. Like I need to put photos of, all these issues that stack up that make life, I mean, more comfortable perhaps, but also a bigger issue.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's fun in those things as well, like decorating a house. Like I would love to do that, like your couch out there, that beautiful couch. I would absolutely love to have like a big room like that where all my friends can come and we can all have dinner every night. I'm still a very social person and I would love to host and like have people over, but I still really love my own space and I still really love just having it easy. Like, because you cut everything out, all of that, you don't need to worry about any of that. I mean, don't get me wrong, the van's expensive.
Yeah.
It breaks down a lot.
Yeah, I just see that quite a lot. Yeah.
It breaks down a lot. We are thinking of getting a new one because we are pretty fed up of this one. But you know, we had one summer where it was just dead. Like the engine almost exploded on us.
Oh my God.
So we had to get an entirely new engine. And then ever since then, it just never was the same. And then we kind of had lots of issues with different garages and people kind of taking advantage. So, you know, it still has its cons.
Mechanics do that though.
Yeah.
Like you need a friend that's a mechanic to
Right?
be like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, one of our favorites was this Hungarian guy on the Isle of Skye who was just kind of on his own, and he was just kind of going, yeah, people don't fix things anymore. And I was like, yes, they don't. They just replace parts.
Yeah.
He's like, you know, I'm from a country where we fix things. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, let's go. He was so like, oh, he was just so quirky, and I love mechanics like that. But we've also had some good ones as well. There's this garage in Ullapool, which actually I don't like. This is my life. I'm literally stoked on different garages. But basically, there's this they were just so nice. They let us live there for about a week in the garage. They would shut us in at 8 p.m. and then they would open up at 8 a.m. and we'd just be sat in the van because we live in it and it was broken and we needed to get things fixed, but we couldn't drive anywhere. And it was so
stuck there.
They were literally like, yeah, you can live in the garage. So we literally lived in this garage for a week. It was great. You know, so we get experiences like that, but you know, a lot of people can handle that. You know, what person wants to be proudly living in a garage for a week? You know,
I think there's a certain type of person, but I do think that you'll probably see like a lot of the world that not many people get to see. Like, see Norway, for example, the Instagrammed spot is Lofoten. So everybody goes to Lofoten and they fuck off everything else.
Yeah.
But you were driving through the whole thing.
Yeah.
So you would have seen so much more than normal people would.
It's so nice to drive, but it's long. It takes about 5 days if you go straight.
So it's like 10 days.
About 12 hours of driving, 5 days.
Oh my God.
It's very long.
What are you doing when you're driving? You just listen to podcasts or like what's the...
So don't hate me. I don't actually listen to podcasts.
Okay, well, that's fair enough.
I'm just going to be honest. I mean, I listen to a couple Joe Rogan podcasts every now and then.
Oh, he's great though.
Because they're just like...
Funny.
Well, funny, but also like I kind of want to keep up with things.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're very on topic and you get to hear different opinions that aren't the mainstream.
The guests he has on as well are like sometimes absolutely insane.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'll put, well, I don't put them on. Jack puts them on and I'm forced to listen to it. So that's my version of listening to a podcast. It's kind of just someone else putting it on.
Yeah.
But we'll either just kind of, we're very good at sitting in silence as well because
you spend a lot of time with each other.
Yeah.
You're gonna need silence.
Yeah, I think that's healthy actually because talking all the time it's a lot
draining.
We need our own space as well, so we'll put our own headphones in, listen to music and just kind of zone out. But we also have the cat. So
you do have a cat.
We have a cat. We have a cat that lives in the van with us.
Does she sleep with it? She
Yeah.
She sleep with you?
Yeah, she sleeps in the van. She sleeps at our feet in the bed, and then she gets like
That's
6 hours of playtime every day. She gets to go outside and explore, and then so she entertains us as well, and that's she's only a year, so we've had her for about a year now. And
was that Jack's purchase or was that
was my purchase?
Is that your purchase? Right, okay.
I've always wanted an animal. My mum was very much one of those people who doesn't like pets.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's like, I don't actually know. She just kind of seems to hate all animals, which is like a mega red flag.
A huge red flag.
But my dad's like a big animal lover. And I was always really upset because his mum as well, so my grandmother, also never let him have any pets. And I was like, you know what? No, I'm going to get my own pet.
Today's the day.
I'm tired of people telling me no. And then one day I got a message from someone on Instagram who was just like, I've got kittens if you want one. Do you want one? And it turns out this person actually went to school with Jack. It was so random. And then, I was like, Jack, can we please, can we have the cat?
Yeah.
And then he was like, okay. Was like,
fine.
Yes. So we got a cat in the van, and so that was actually in 2023. Right. Okay. And that we were in Norway when we decided it. So then the next year we decided to drive to Norway again. We took her with us.
With the cat?
Yeah.
So do you need to like import, how do you get her in?
So she gets like a passport.
Like
she needs
passport.
to get, she needs to get Jags and stuff. So she needs to get rabies vaccination and other vaccinations and stuff. And then basically when you get to, so I used to only take the ferry across because I don't like going underground. It kind of freaks me out a bit.
Is that the huge tunnels that are like under the sea?
Yeah.
Right.
But
so you would just never...
I never did it until I found out with the cat you have to leave them inside. So in the ferry,
right.
When you park in, you have to leave the
car.
vehicle, but you would have to leave the cat in the vehicle. And I was like, it's like 30 degrees and like what if anything happens? I can't get my cat. It just freaked me out. So I put aside my fear of going in the tunnel, and so I could stay with the cat. I was like, you damn cat. I hate the tunnel. So yeah, we now take the tunnel, which I don't know actually why I never did it before, because it's not that bad.
Where was the fear? Where did the fear come from?
I don't know. Just the idea of being
claustrophobic. Is it like claustrophobic?
I'm not really claustrophobic, but it's just the idea of being inside a van, inside a train, inside a tunnel, inside water. like it just
lots to go wrong.
You know what I mean? It just was a lot for my brain to be like, it just sounds like there's a lot of things that could go wrong.
Yeah.
And for some reason the ferry just felt more free because I could stand outside and feel fresh air, which always just feels nicer. But yeah, the tunnel's actually all right. It's only like 20 minutes, which is crazy.
The tunnels, it's just wild how they built it.
Yeah, like I don't understand.
Scandinavians, or Norway in particular, it's just such like a rich country.
Yeah.
It's wild. It's even like food. What do you do for food when you're there?
In Norway?
Yeah. Or do you eat in the van? Do you just
grocery,
buy it?
yeah. We've got like a mini kitchen. Jack loves to cook. He'll make like a Yorkshire pudding dinner in the van with just like 2 pans.
That's pretty good.
I'm like, how do you do that? I don't understand how he does it, but he does it. And we'll have like jacket potatoes in the van, and we don't even have an oven. But he
figures it out.
He just figures it out, and I'm just like, yeah, you do your thing. I eat good.
Is he the same as you in terms of just like he's unaffected by living in the van? Like he loves it.
So he's probably more unaffected than me. I think he's way more chilled than I am. Like I think I'm all right, but then he's like another level.
Yeah.
So like he can handle not showering for longer, but I think that's just him being a guy as well. I don't know, like, you know. But like, so he could go a bit longer, whereas I'll be like, I feel disgusting. Can we please find a shower? You know.
Yeah.
And then there's like, oh, I've lost my train of thought. What was I going to say?
So he can just chill out.
Oh yeah, he's super chill. And
he's a stinky boy. He just doesn't shower.
He's gross. You know, he's running in bog every day, and then comes back, and then thinks he can hug me, and then I'm like, get off me! I'm like,
don't touch me!
I'm like, you're disgusting. No, he's just like really, really relaxed. I think I'm not too bad, especially like when I compare myself to like my friends. Like I don't think they would do what I do. Like.
They do like their comfort like a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, I don't mind roughing it at all. I think I actually prefer it. As I said about the simplicity, it just kind of, it makes me feel like I'm channeling my lizard brain a bit more. If you know what I mean? I feel like I'm getting back to my roots slightly. I mean, I don't know. It's weird, but yeah, because my mum is so comfort based, and she's very much like.
Likes the luxury of being in her own home, own bathroom, nice hotels.
Exactly. Yeah. My dad and I are really close, and he's kind of the one that was more travel based, and he'd hitchhike around Australia like
that's cool.
Years ago. Did it in Europe as well, and so I think I kind of get it from him. But I don't really know why I'm so okay with being gross.
Because there is a certain type. Well, I suppose part of it though is like, you see when you are in a hostel or you're in like a shitty situation, it tends to kind of bring people together in a way that doesn't happen when everything is going well. Yeah. Like you see if you've got a cancelled flight, everyone complains about the flight, but all of a sudden you're talking to everybody and actually, they're quite cool. I'll maybe sit beside them. Like,
exactly.
Or you're in a hostel, there's a cockroach in the bed. Everyone helps to try. Everyone helps, but you end up chatting. So there's a connectivity around shit situations.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with the van as well, like it's actually really communal.
Is there lots of people that do that? Like, do you know a lot of people that do the same as you? And
honestly, no. Like,
right.
I mean, I'm sure they'll be on Instagram somewhere. I might come across them. Yeah. But what I love the most about van life is literally just keeping to ourselves. Because we're so connected to the world, like with everything, you know, like the news all the time, or Instagram, or just TikTok, or just, you know, some disaster happening. There's always something. And with the van, you can literally drive to a place with no internet and just shut off. Like you can literally quite literally just get away from everything and everyone, and it's so nice.
Do you do that regularly? You kind of like turn your phone off, go to the middle of nowhere, and just like, you know, cook, go run, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, so I just love having that option. We don't do it a lot because I think we have a good balance, and unfortunately we do need internet to work. So obviously, like maybe Monday to Friday, we won't be doing that. But like, there's a place we have on Sky where we literally just go, and the internet's terrible, and we just go, you know what? We'll shut it off, and we'll just have a chill weekend.
Have a bonfire.
Yeah,
chill out.
and like no one will be there, no one will message us. We won't get to talk to anyone, and it's freaking great.
There's no pressure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's where I met you in Sky.
What?
I met you in Sky.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, we bumped into each other like really weirdly.
Did we? Why? I don't remember at all.
We have exactly the same photos from Talisker Bay.
Do we?
So, how did this come about? I was with Dave Coya.
Was that you?
Yeah, that was me.
Oh my
yeah, that was me. Yeah.
Oh my god.
I was with Dave Coya and who else? Kian and Hamza. And
no way, I had no idea that was you.
Yeah, we bumped into it.
That's so embarrassing. Didn't even know you followed me. I've met you and don't even remember. Yeah. God, I'm an ass. Like, I'm such an ass.
And who were you if you were with Ryan Harris?
No, I was with Patrick.
Patrick.
Was Simon there? Maybe Simon.
Jack Harding was definitely there.
Oh, Jack Harding was there. It wasn't
Jack Harding
Simon.
was definitely there.
It was Harding, Jack. Sorry, I called Jack Harding because Jack is
Jack.
So,
Yeah,
so it's Jack and Harding to me. so Jack and Jack, and then Patrick.
Yeah.
And then me, I think.
Might have been it. Yeah, I think that might have been it.
Yeah.
But we bumped in because we shot Talisker Bay and we were leaving to go somewhere else for sunset as you were arriving.
Oh my God, I'm such a prick. I'm so sorry.
No. You didn't know. You didn't know. I think you maybe knew Dave.
Korea Creative,
in passing,
right?
In passing, you maybe knew Dave.
Yeah.
And also, we're kind of running out of time, so like, bye.
Yeah. I just remember the dog.
Yeah, Keen's dog.
Right.
So cute.
Yeah.
He's literally just got married.
Of course I only remember the damn dog.
Yeah. He got married recently, and his girlfriend's now pregnant, or his wife. No.
Fantastic.
I don't know if they're actually married, but they're engaged.
But that's still good.
Really cool.
Congratulations.
Yeah, he's a really cool guy. He's one of the kind of guys that's like, he's so unbelievably chill that you kind of want to be him.
Yeah.
Like, do you know one of those guys that just
that,
sits there and he's like so mellow and
nothing
like,
bothers
phases
them.
And you're just like, I want to be you.
Yeah. I wish I was like that. I'm just forever triggered.
What do you think? Like, see, when you look back in it, in terms of, you obviously love to travel, and the photography thing came after the travel. Was there a photographer in particular that inspired you to get into it?
Well, I wouldn't say there was one photographer. I think it's always been in my family. So right. I've always been creative in, like, I mean, with skating, it's kind of a form of dance, right? So the creative in that aspect, like with choreography and whatnot. But
I can't believe you used to be a professional skater. Honestly, I'm like, I did not expect that at all.
Yeah, it's so weird because I've lived two very different lives. Like there was the skating where it was
very structured, very organized.
Yeah, very like, you know,
luxury.
Have to look pretty all the time, dresses, and I don't think I've worn a dress in like 7 years. Like, like very different to what I used to be. And then now it's like whatever I want. Like it can be structured if I want. It could be like haywire if I want. What was your question?
Inspirational photographer or a photographer that inspired you.
That was it. Sorry. So yeah, I've always been kind of creative, but my family on my mum's side, they've also always been very creative. So a lot of them are musicians or photographers themselves.
Yeah.
One of my uncles, he was like in Singapore's biggest bands for a while. He was the drummer.
Oh wow. So he was mental.
Yeah, like he was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then he was also like a celebrity wedding photographer in Singapore as well.
Wow.
So he like it's kind of always been like in my family.
Yeah.
I also have a couple other uncles that were also very like into photography or music. And then my first camera, I bought the 60 with my grandmother left me some money like when she died, and so I decided to buy my own camera with that. And yeah, that's kind of what led me down to photography.
But there was no one that you'd look at in the industry, or was it more just like as you go, you were like, oh, I really like that photo, and then you take another one, and then you take another.
Yeah.
But there was no one that you'd look at. I hate to use Jack as an example, but like I'm sure a lot of people will have looked at Jack when he was big on Instagram, or he is big on Instagram, and being like, he's the inspiration for going out.
We met a lot of people who were like that. It was actually hilarious when I first met Jack. Whenever we'd be out, we'd meet people who would be like, oh my God, it's Jack Anstey.
Yeah, I follow you. Yeah.
And I'd be sat there like, hey. And it happens so often. Thankfully, it doesn't happen as much now. Because I think everyone's kind of over it now. Whereas before it was like
a bigger thing.
Whereas now we're kind of seen as regular people, which we are. But yeah, I never really had like an inspirational person. I think I appreciate pretty things. I appreciate
photography.
And movies. You know, like I love certain artworks, and I was also a Tumblr kid back in the day.
Right, you were a Tumblr kid.
I was a Tumblr girl, so I also loved like all the art that was there, and you know, was reposting a lot of that stuff, and so I've always just had an appreciation for just pretty things. But yeah, I guess the fascination came from just the world. Like I just really loved. I just really loved mountains. I loved colors. I always hated shooting black and white. Like black and white was like something that I really hated because
death.
Because I was just like, no, it's colorful. Like it's beautiful. Why are we hiding that? So I mean, I'm over that now, but that was something that it really used to irk me, like black and white photos, because I was like, you're removing the beauty.
A lot of time though, like people use black and white when they fuck up a photo.
Well, that's the thing.
That's
it. So yeah, now that I know that, I can get over it. But so it was kind of just like
a natural progression.
Love, a natural progression. And then as I got into Instagram, I just found more and more people that was really talented and just started following them. So like the German roamers, back in the I mean they're still German roamers now, but they were kind of the leaders of Instagram for a while in 2017. Then Hello Emily, her boyfriend's Jason Charles Hill. They're Australian photographers. Both of them are phenomenal. Her work is just magic. So you know, I do find inspiration from people, but I don't really like look to them as role models or something.
That kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I just love what they do, and then I don't necessarily try to emulate it. I just try to improve and just do my own thing.
It's probably a good thing, because I think a lot of people copy. Like, I hate to use the word copy.
No, but I understand.
But it kind of does happen. Like I remember going to a Bienne Cruellist. That
that
one. I have no idea how to say it. But I went there during COVID because I had that was my source of income, and I was like, fuck, I need to make money. And I went to a spot and I got a couple of photos and I did a drone shot, and then all of a sudden it went relatively big and everybody did the same thing. And I was like, oh, this is it kind of spoils the magic of.
That might have been Jack's fault.
Did he get a photo?
Well, we did a camp back in 2019, I think. I actually posted it again recently. But me, Elliot, our friend Alier, and Jack, we camped up there. And then literally after that, everyone decided that they also wanted to camp there.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things that was I was really small at the time, so it wasn't me. And then Jack was the biggest out of all of us at the time.
Yeah,
I mean, he still is. So we blame him.
Yeah. Well, you can actually tell as well, because people save it.
Yeah.
And you can see who's saved. Well, you can't see who's saved it, but you can see how many people have saved it. And 90% of the time, if you're saving something, it's because you like the spot.
Yeah.
And that's where you want to go.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's quite sad. Do you think that would you ever withhold posting something just so you don't show it that spot to the world?
I used to be like that. I'm not really like that anymore.
Right.
I kind of got over it because I realized like literally you can find everything on Google.
It's kind of sad though, isn't it?
Like we found the places on Google.
Yeah.
So it was kind of, and also I don't mind gatekeeping locations because I want like to preserve them as much as possible. But then there's also the factor of like, well, why am I allowed to go and not anyone else? But then I'm not stopping anyone going. I'm just not telling them how to get there. So I don't really know why it's seen as gatekeeping as well, because like I just research it.
Yeah.
And they're more than welcome to research it as well. It's just people seem to get really mad when you don't hand them the locations. Which I don't really understand.
But sometimes it's complicated. Like sometimes you're like so many people that piano list or however you say it, that's a perfect example of people are like, how'd you get there? And I'm like, well, you just park at the bottom of the hill and you walk up.
Exactly.
Like there's not like a route. You just
walk.
Yeah.
But yeah, people don't. I don't know what it is. I just feel like sometimes, especially in today's world, people want to be handled things on a silver platter,
and they don't want to do the work for it.
Yeah, which I think if you're not going to do that, then to me you don't deserve it.
Yeah,
it makes sense. Kind of my mentality, because I'm like, well, why should I hand it to someone who is just wanting it for, I don't know, maybe clout or to copy or to whatever, rather than actually doing it because they love it? Because I think, to me, if you really love it, you'd put in the work to find it. Because, like, for example, he's such a map nerd.
Yeah, does he pen everything?
Literally, he has like multiple different forms of maps. He has old school maps, he has new maps. He's got a map of Iceland that has all the old names. So he's like a mega map nerd, and he'll find routes and just scour through Google Maps. What's the one with the world, the globe?
Yeah, Google World or Google Earth, Google Earth.
Google Earth, that's it. Google World. So he'll just like scroll and look through Google Earth and just see what you can find, and then we'll just go, oh, let's just hike there. If it works, it doesn't. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And but people aren't willing to do that. So
it's also people don't have maybe as much time, I think, is like, because you could camp there and be like, right, we're going to try it. If the weather's not good today, we'll try it again tomorrow. If the weather's not good tomorrow, we'll try it again the next day. And eventually we'll get the project done. Yeah. But sometimes, like, I've been on shoots where it's like, right, you've got a day to shoot a watch up the top of this hill, and you get to the top of the hill and it's shit weather, and you're like, well, we just need to do it. We got to do it. Yep. So some people just don't have, they want the easy route, they want the exact location, so they don't need to scout because they don't have the time. Yeah.
I don't know, because there was a time where, Jack had full-time job, I also had full-time job.
What did you work as before?
So that's also another weird story. Because I didn't have any high school degree. I didn't have any college degree, because skating was my life. And I used to skip school just to skate. And when I was in Canada, the way the skating regimen worked is that I'd skate before school, I'd skate during lunchtime, and then I'd skate after school.
Jesus Christ.
So everything was just like skate.
Yeah. That was like life.
Yeah. And so I never really like learned much. I mean, I was okay. Like, I'm not completely incompetent, but it was I never did well in an exam setting. So I just kind of like gave it up. I tried multiple times. I did hires, then I tried A-levels, and then I tried to go back and do it self-taught. I did it outside of school.
You just couldn't.
And I was like, this is not what I want to do. Like, I really, really wanted to study, hilariously, I wanted to study zoology because I wanted to become a paleontologist. So I have random animal facts, like loads of animal facts, but that's pretty much all of what I achieved from my school days.
Did you have ADHD?
Yeah, probably.
Are you diagnosed or no?
No, I'm not diagnosed. I want to get diagnosed because would it
make sense, like with stuff that
it makes so much sense. Like I don't want to be one of those people that diagnoses themselves off the internet, because I think that's a bit dangerous. I feel like there's a lot of people who literally have no problems, but they think they do. So I think I have ADHD, just with how my brain works, and I can't focus on things at all. So like with exams, I'd be like looking everywhere. I'm doing it now. I'm fidgeting a lot. Like you'll see it there, you guys. Like I'm like this all the time. I'm shuffling, and like I can't really like sit still. And then whenever I'm working, like I can't focus for long periods of time, which is weird.
Does it depend on what you're working on? Like, see if you have a project, or let's say you're editing a batch of photos that you really were like, fucking hell, I love
if I
these.
love them, I can get through them. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if it's like, if it's a client that I don't really like, or if it's
sack
like,
off next week.
yeah, exactly, which is terrible. I mean, I can force myself to get it done. I'm the classic person that if the deadline's the next day,
You'll
I'll
do
be
it
up
that
until 5 a.m. finishing it. But I'll still make it work, and it's just, that's the only way I can motivate myself to do it, which seems to be very ADHD according to everything I've read. So
there's no prioritization in terms of stuff you don't want to do.
I'm just kind of all over the place. But it's weird because I can sit and play Animal Crossing for like 700 hours.
But it's because you enjoy it. Like, I think that with people with ADHD, so I've maybe explained this like a couple of times in the podcast, but they kind of idle on like a slightly lower level of endorphins than like a normal person. So like they're here, so they're constantly trying to dopamine hit up, which is a lot of the time why you get people going into creative fields that have ADHD. Because
makes total sense.
But also nobody's telling them they're wrong.
Yeah. So
in school, you kind of get this like steer on terms of, well, you're wrong, you can't do that, and then it makes people kind of not as confident.
Yeah.
So
I agree with that.
Instead of going into something like, maths where there's a right and wrong answer, they go into an avenue where there's no right and wrong answer, and then they continue to grow at that, and that's why you have so many creative people being like either ADHD, slightly autistic, dyslexic. Like the amount of photographers that I know that are definitely slightly autistic. Like there's so many of them. I'm really weird. Like I know that I'm like, but there's so many photographers that are just like, you talk to them, they're lovely people, but they're a little bit on the spectrum. Like their equipment needs to be in a certain order. They're like,
it's so funny because when I look at all my friend group, we have one that is very like, I don't even know how to describe it. Like everything has to be in a certain way. Everything has to be clean. Everything has to be like completely in place or something's going to go wrong. And then there's me and then like a couple others that are just haywire all the time. Everything's a mess. Everything's just everywhere. But we know where everything is. Everything is...
It has a place.
Everything has a place, but it's crazy. And then that will drive our other friend insane because it's not in the correct place. And then so, like as a group, we're all on the spectrum in some form. Like we're all kind of neurospicy.
I can imagine Jack Harding's quite structured.
Yeah, he's very structured.
I can imagine he's quite a clean cut kind of like he wants everything in an order.
Yeah,
that's who he strikes me as.
He's very business orientated. Yeah, he's very good at what he does. Like it's with his crypto as well. He's so good with it.
Like, I've messaged him so much about that.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, so like is XRP going to go up? And he's like, I don't fucking know. He's like, I don't know.
No, he's just like very, very good at what he does, and he's so structured with himself. But he's also ADHD.
Right.
Like
okay.
Me and him are very similar actually.
Okay.
Which is kind of funny because we have like completely different personalities.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he's I really admire him. I've always admired him for how good he is with business and everything that he does with it because he's so successful and he makes it look so easy.
Yeah, and it's not. And I know that the move from London must have been really difficult as well. Plus juggling all like the stuff that was going on business wise.
Yeah.
And he's trying to rent out his flat, and then he's like in crypto, and then he's in his business, and then he's renting out his crazy. But I followed him. Again, I think it was you guys really, really early. Yeah.
But I'm terrible at it. I mean, I've met you and I didn't even know.
Isn't it? I always find it really interesting to see when people go on like, you get like a group of influencers, like you guys going to Finland. Yeah. And you see who's friends with who. Like I'm always really interested in being like, like Rome with Sarah's friends with this. And like,
It's so funny. I really love it because I love seeing, as you say, I love seeing who's friends with who. And even with like the American influencers and the German influencers, you kind of just see all the different like different cliques. Yeah. And it's just really funny. And it's like the more I get to know people, the more you get to like, the more people you get to meet and like learn from as well, which is also really nice. And I just think having like these communities is such a nice thing. It's my favorite part of Instagram.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like it's kind of connecting over like a common passion, right?
Yeah.
It's like you know that even if you meet a weirdo, you're gonna be able to talk about photography.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're fine.
Because I'm a weirdo as well. So it's like we'll just bond. But we were saying that on our recent trip to Finland that when we were hiking, I was kind of like looking back and I just thought we all met on Instagram.
Yeah.
We all only know each other because of Instagram. And I just think that's really beautiful.
It's
It's like, because honestly, without Instagram, I'd be a loner.
Yeah.
And I mean that sincerely. After skating, my life just changed completely because
you didn't know anyone. I'm supposing because you're moving to Toronto.
Yeah, then I come back
and you've got no one.
Everyone's kind of move on, done their own thing.
So how did you meet How did you meet Jack and the rest of them?
So hilariously with Jack, I thought he was being a creep.
What did he message you?
He slid into the DMs.
You're exposing him.
Yeah. Well, I tell everyone this story because it's so funny. But, well, actually, so he posted a video of the Aurora. Right. And this was back. So this would be 2018.
Peak Instagram.
Yeah. So early to mid 2018. And phones weren't that great then for capturing Aurora. But the way the Aurora, he posted a video of the Aurora and it looked like real time. And I was like, was this taken on a phone? And then he said, no. And then I was like, okay. Then it ended. And I was like, all right.
Great chat.
And then he slid into the DMs later on and basically asked me on a trip to Tyree, which is so random because it's like a little tiny island.
Scotland, yeah.
But he had a job and then I don't know why he asked, but he just asked and I was like, where would I be staying? He was like, in the van with me. And I was like, creep. I was like, red flag. Yeah. And then, and then eventually he asked me to join him on another trip. And then I was like, you know what, whatever. Like,
I'll see you.
I'll just do it. Like, you're obviously just being nice. I don't think you're actually being like a creep. Because we actually ended up talking for a while after, like in between all that. And we just got along really well. I was like, all right, best mate. And then, and then.
Friend zone.
Yeah, friend zone. And then I got into the van and I literally just never left.
That's a pretty cool story though.
Like, yeah, I literally, because it was a Toyota Hiace at the time. The little red van. We missed the red van. It never broke. That Toyota.
Never broke down.
It never broke.
Toyotas are great.
They are.
Toyotas are like the best cars.
They are really good.
I did a
Japan, man.
Yeah. Well, I did where did I go? The Icelandic Highlands. Oh yeah. And I got a Toyota Land Cruiser, and it was like, it just like glided over the fucking like the horrendous. Have you done the?
Well, we had a Land Cruiser in Namibia.
Right. Yeah. So you would have.
It's just amazing. Yeah. Like you just glide over the dunes, and I'm like, this is amazing.
It's so good. Have you done the Icelandic Highlands?
Yeah.
Yeah, you've done them. What did you think of them?
But amazing! Absolutely fantastic. We hiked. We did the Fimmvörðuháls hike, which is basically from. What's it called?
It's not Reykjavik.
No. We had to take the bus into. So you drive past Seljalandsfoss.
Yes.
And it takes you into the highland, but I'm forgetting.
Oh, there's a glacier there.
I'm forgetting what that bit's called.
Let me look at a map.
It's near Midgard.
There's a glacier there. I think I know exactly where you are because I think I drove that way.
Okay.
And you go through these barren it almost looks like Mars.
It's where all the river braids are.
Yeah, so that's up beside. Fucking look at Iceland. Look at the amount of pins that I've just got everywhere. Yep. All the river bays. So does it begin with an F? Fire homies.
What was that?
Or there's Seveniflik Glacier. Or Morafoss. I'm not actually sure. Have a look.
God, that's Svartafoss. Okay, so I don't think it was there. I think it's further. I'm terrible at maps. I need Jack.
My girlfriend's the same. Like we're booking a trip to Sulawesi at the moment. Have you heard of Sulawesi?
Where's that?
Oh, I've got a new place.
Where's that?
It's above Indonesia. It's like above Bali.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah. Thorsmore. That's it.
Thorsmore.
Yeah. So we start in there and then we finish at Skogafoss, and it's like a 30-kilometer hike.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So.
And you hiked the whole thing?
Yeah, we did that in one evening. Well, not evening. Well, we did it overnight.
30K.
32 kilometers.
In one day.
Yeah.
Why? Why would you hike that far?
I don't know.
Was it midnight sun?
Yeah. So we went in July, roughly. So we did get a little bit of darkness, But it was just a beautiful blue. Oh, sorry. It was just a beautiful blue hour the whole time.
Stunning, that, isn't it?
So we literally had inversion.
Oh, that's
and then
so good.
we thought the hike, we were literally hiking. We're like, God, we're going to be under the cloud the whole time, aren't we? And then we came up above it, and then it was just golden hour.
Oh my
And then we were
God.
like, this is insane.
Yeah.
And then we then got to the glacier. It was blue hour throughout the whole glacier part. And then we came over to the other side, and it was golden hour again. And then we got to Skogafoss.
Yeah.
And then I'll need to show you. I'll get my phone. It's
I honestly think that, like, see, that's the sort of thing that nobody really but photographers will understand. Like, see, when you get light that's really good,
Yep.
and everyone's starting to panic because they don't know what to shoot. It's almost like when the aurora comes out and you're all like, fuck, what do we do?
Yeah, you're like, composition, fuck it up. It's like, this trip in particular was so nice though, because it was the first one after lockdown.
Oh, so it was the first taste of freedom. Almost.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, like, so this was the start of the hike. We went with Nicholas. His account is Natisverd. You might know him.
Natisverd.
Yeah.
Has he done a video with Peter McKinnon? Is that the same guy?
No, not Peter McKinnon. He does a lot with Siggy. He's actually in Iceland right now shooting with Siggy.
Yeah.
And he's done... He knows, like, Hardman and stuff like that. He lived in Iceland for a bit with a Land Rover. He had a white Land Rover.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I know.
I always get the shittest cars in Iceland. I'm like, I really hope I get like a bright red Defender or something.
It
It's
was
never
nice
that.
because this trip, he was doing a job for Through Dark, and Through Dark paid for us to get an ISAC.
Oh, that's quite cool.
It was awesome. We had the ISAC for like a week, and we took that into the Highlands, and it was amazing.
So do the brands pay for most of your, like, see, when you go on these trips, I'm guessing the brand budget covers like a lot of it.
It depends on. So that's like the main photo that I love from Finnboda Pass. That's when we came up into the.
That's a drone, right?
Yeah, that's when we first came up past the cloud.
That is insane.
But it's like,
I think I've seen that on your profile.
Yeah.
Or I've maybe seen variants of it potentially.
Probably.
That is
I've
unreal.
posted it multiple times.
Yeah.
Then there's like, I don't know why it flashes my OneDrive. It's so weird. But there's like, you get at the end, you get to you finish at Skogafoss. Well, actually, you're supposed to start at Skogafoss,
But you did it the
but we
reverse.
did it the other way around.
Okay.
And then that was us. Like, that's us at the end.
Just
like
dead.
absolutely dead.
Dead.
Absolutely dead. And then the next day, because that's when the volcano was kicking off.
Did you see the volcano?
So we saw the volcano.
Did you hiked to that volcano or
Yeah,
no?
so we did. So literally, we did the 32 kilometer hike. Then the next day, the volcano was going mental. We
So you had
hiked
to do that massive
another
hike.
12 kilometers the next day.
Oh my God. So we did it'll be so deep in my Instagram. I saw the same, I think I probably saw the same volcano.
Okay.
Wait, when did you go? 2019?
That was 2021.
2021. Oh no, I went in 20,
Oh, okay. I think that mine was the second time it was erupting.
I think mine was the fourth. It's
Okay.
erupted so many times.
Honestly.
Literally. So I went to, I literally booked a panic trip with my brother and was like scampering
to
for
see it.
brands. Yeah, I was like, please help us and I'll film it with a volcano. But it was so cool to look over it. Did you get close to it?
Yeah, we got pretty close. I think as close as we could have done at the time. I wouldn't have wanted to get closer personally. All the people that were
feel the heat off of it.
Yeah, like all the people that were really brave and like walking up to it, I was like, they're crazy.
Did you see the video? Oh my God. There was a video of a Chinese tourist that like hopped over all the lava fields. Did you see that?
He was in white, right?
Yeah.
And he was just like, oh my
and
God.
a drone flies up to him
Yeah.
and it's like filming him
Who
and he's just
posted
waving.
that?
It's,
It was an Icelander who posted that, I think. Yeah.
That's why there's so many restrictions, because you
Yeah.
get people that just don't understand the severity
Yeah.
of, like, if their foot goes through that magma stuff,
It's gone.
It's gone.
Your foot is
Yeah,
gone. Like
you're dead.
It's melted off.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I didn't really want to get closer. I was pretty happy with
Drone it. And
droning it, and but even then with the camera, I was pretty we got some pretty cool shots with the camera as well. We managed to see it twice while we were there. I think the second time was more dramatic. We got more like basically the plume was just shining like a bright red.
That's cool.
It was awesome. Like it just looked so cinematic.
Like Mordor.
Yeah. It was very Mordor.
Yeah.
And that one was awesome. The first time was cool, just not as like Mordor.
Yeah, not quite as intense.
Not quite as Mordor. And that was mostly the drone footage, but the second time we literally just sat, we made a hot chocolate, we just watched it and just chilled because we had to go to the airport the next day. So we just finished the trip with Volcano.
It's pretty cool, isn't it?
It was awesome. 2021 Iceland trip is still like
up there.
I speak of it very highly.
What is your favorite place? Like out of all the places you've ever traveled to, what's your favorite?
So I get asked this quite a lot. It used to be Australia, New Zealand.
Okay, because the heat, I'm guessing.
I don't know. I think it was the sentiment of it. It was my first time doing like a van trip. It was like the first time I ever felt like I could do this. So I think it was more the sentiment. Also the wildlife. I loved the wildlife.
Yeah, that scares me. The spider thing.
Yeah. We actually saw the second most venomous snake. It was a baby. It was about this big. And then we Googled it to check it was the second most venomous snake in Australia. And then I was like, well, that's a baby. Where's the mum and where's all the other siblings? I was just like, and that was just at a campsite.
Yeah.
But I thought that was still so cool. But
to see that just roaming around as well. Like it's something that you see in Nat Geo, you wouldn't think it'd
exactly
be there. Yeah.
Exactly. But I think now, as I get older, I much prefer Iceland, Norway, and Finland.
I'm exactly the same.
Yeah. Like I think those are my top 3 now.
What do you think it is about?
Oh, but then Kyrgyzstan also is really special.
I've never been.
I really recommend it.
So what's because there's a massive glacier there, isn't there?
Well, there's loads, like, because
Right.
the mountains are like really tall. They're like 6,000, 7,000 meters. And it's just such a special place. I also recommend going soon because it's kind of becoming more and more touristy.
Right.
That's probably partly my fault.
I think it's the group of you fault because you'll always go together and then there'll just be like a symphony of photos that come from.
Like me, Jack, and Harding.
Yeah.
I remember when the first time I went with Harding, he was like, "You and Jack are gonna ruin Kyrgyzstan." And I was like, "I'm sorry." I was like, "Don't." But the tourism there is booming, and they've I think with all the sanctions on Russia, actually a lot of Kyrgyzstan and Kazakhstan, those regions are actually now making a lot of money instead.
Well, that's good.
Which is good for them.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of development happening, and there's now like a new airport in Karakol, which is the place that we go to. So we'd usually fly into Bishkek and then have to drive all the way to Karakol.
How long is the drive?
Which is quite a while. 6
hours.
roughly, I think.
For you, driving 10 days to get to Norway,
Well,
that's nothing.
I mean, for most people,
Yeah.
like for me, I'm like, yeah, that's a blink. But but for most people, that's quite far. I think it might be more, might be less. I can't remember now. But now there's an airport in Karakol because they've put in the money, and it's kind of like there's more hostels there, and like they're really putting a lot of money in, and it's really nice to see. But it also means that you're gonna get the remote places are no longer going to be as remote because the places that I went to, like Alakul, which is kind of the hike in to do, and that's so special. But the one that I'm really pleased that I managed to go to that no one has gone to because it takes like it takes days to get there. We were 5 days off grid driving to get there.
But you get a photo that nobody else has.
Exactly.
That's
but that's what the
harder the mission,
exactly.
the better the return.
So it kind of was like, that's worth it. Because I feel like even places like that probably still won't go viral or touristy. Like those are for the people who put in the effort, which is, what I was kind of saying earlier. But like, do you really deserve the location if you're not going to put in the effort? So I do also Kyrgyzstan. So it's weird I don't really have a favorite because I kind of love all of them for different reasons. Kyrgyzstan is just so special because I love the people. The people are awesome. They're so funny and so polite and so kind. And the outdoor culture is awesome. It's like you feel like you're still exploring somewhere new.
Yeah, I get you.
You're kind of, it's not been touched kind of thing. So we had, the first time we went, we would say to our tour guide, can we go there? And he'd be like, okay. And he would just take his car.
There's no like sanctions.
And then he'd just be like, drive. And you're like, oh my God, this is cool. So like you kind of feel like you're still discovering things. I mean, it's already been discovered, but you feel like you're discovering it new. Well, it's like, as much as I love Iceland, Norway, Finland, you know that
They've been shot to shit.
They're completely overdone, and it's hard to get something new that is not as widely known. But I just love. But the reason I love those countries is the culture, the landscape, and also just Norway especially. I love how the way I describe Norway is the mountains, because I love hiking, but it's like the top 400 meters of the Alps.
Yeah.
Like you take
everywhere.
You take the coolest part of the Alps and then you just put it in Norway. And then that's how I describe Norway, because like all the mountains look epic, but they're all actually quite easy to hike. So you get epic alpine views, but it's not
that difficult.
It's not like a 12-hour day to get up there. Like most hikes are about 2 hours. So I love that, but I think Finland for me, culture-wise, outdoor culture wins in terms of like the cabins,
the
sausages.
Wood fires. Yeah.
They love sausages, which I just adore, because literally you just go hiking and camping, and then we stayed I think like 3 years ago we decided to sleep in one of the cabins, and there was 2 Finnish ski tours that came, and they shared the fire for a bit, and they just whipped out these sausages and then just like cooked them, ate them, and then left. And we were like, is that like a thing? Like, do they just do that here, or was that just them? And then we learned that literally they're just obsessed with sausages.
Yeah.
And so ever since then, we just do the same thing. We carry sausages, and like whenever we see a campfire, we stop and have the sausages.
They also love alcohol.
Yeah, a lot of these countries do.
They love.
Yeah.
So we were in Finland the first time we ever went. We kind of went slightly in the wrong season. And we went to a husky sledding place, and they basically said we're shut. Like we don't.
Oops.
But they realized we were Scottish, and they were like, I tell you what, we can take you out for like a trial.
Yeah, they love the Scots.
They love the Scots.
They love the Scots.
They wanted whiskey. So essentially the guy was like, do you guys have whiskey? And we were like, oh, well, actually, as that's what happened.
Did you actually?
We had,
amazing.
And they were like, oh, well, what we'll do is we'll take you out. You don't need to pay anything, but just give me a bottle of whiskey. And we were like, okay,
done.
Absolutely.
Deal. You know what? I might bring whiskey next time.
They love it. See, Scottish whiskey. It's like, it doesn't cost as much to us, but because the tax there is so high.
Yeah.
It's like huge for
I know,
them.
it's crazy. It's the same in Norway and Iceland.
Yeah.
Like it's just so expensive.
So expensive. Yeah. But then the average salary in Iceland's so much higher.
Yeah.
Like I think it's like 50, 60 grand.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned the Scottish thing though, because I mean my accent's kind of gone. It's come out a little bit.
It's quite like it's on both sides. Does that make sense? It's kind of like quite neutral.
Okay, yeah. See, it's come out a lot more because I'm talking to you. So if I'm around other Scots, it will come out. Because
when you drink, does it come out?
If I'm angry, it comes out. So any kind of like when I talk to my dad, it definitely comes out because otherwise he'll disown me. But it's so funny because whenever we're abroad, whenever people ask where we're from, Jack will be like, oh, I'm from England. And then they'll be kind of like, oh, okay. And then I'll be like, oh, yeah, I'm from Scotland. They'll be like, oh my God. And I'm like, aye. Oh my God. Like, freedom. And they just love it. And then I feel bad because Jack's like, all right, okay. Although he is
the English get a bad rap.
I know, I feel bad for
get
him.
A bad rap.
But they love the Scots. Like everywhere I go, they just, whenever I say I'm Scottish, they're just like, oh my God.
I think a lot of it's dictated by like Outlander.
Probably.
Do you watch that?
I haven't. To me, kind of, when I think of Outlander, I think of like some of my American friends because I feel like they think they're going to come to Scotland and then
Everyone's
get swept away by this like big burly Scottish man.
Yeah, thick hair, dark hair.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm kind of like,
kilt.
No. Yeah. Like he'll probably call you a bam and then fuck off. Like, he's like, no, it's not quite like that. Like I shared in my close friend story recently, there was this guy who posted a reel, and it was like there's 2 sides of Scotland and there's all the beauty, and then the second side of Scotland was just this guy pushing a trolley that was on fire.
Yeah. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, that's more like what we're like. It's beautiful, but our people are questionable. Hilariously questionable though.
Would you ever leave Scotland? Like would you ever move country? No.
I've lived in Canada, I've lived in Singapore, I've lived in England, and Scotland is home.
Right.
It took me a while to figure out that Scotland was home. But
why is it home?
just to feel home. Like I feel whenever I come here, like I don't know how I put it, but whenever I drive through Glencoe, there's like a feeling of just peace, and I'm just like, okay, like this is it.
This is me.
You know, yeah. It's just there's no like word to describe it. It's just here. I'm just here, like, and this is it.
Yeah. I do get, because so many of my friends are moving to Dubai.
Well,
and it's because of the tax.
Yeah,
essentially, they're just like, I need to, like, I can't, the government, what they're doing, I don't think it's right, especially with businesses, like starting out businesses, is especially property. Like you won't have that issue. It's mental.
Yeah. Well, there's a reason why I don't want property.
but it is crazy. And like, see, when you look through the history books, never in, you know, at any point in history has someone taxed their way out of a financial black hole.
Yeah.
It's never has it happened because people leave. And we actually had the biggest amount of millionaires leaving Scotland or the UK
as a whole
in the last year.
Yeah.
So, and to be honest, like, as much as Scotland's my home, I'm like, would I rather save 50% of my money and go to Dubai? And
my dad said the same, you know, he was like, if I could, I'd take the whole family and go to Dubai.
Yeah.
I'm like, you've become one of them. I was like, I thought Scotland was home. But I mean, even if I did move somewhere, it would be temporarily. If I had to go somewhere, maybe to make life easier or just for...
You'd always come back.
For 2 years or something, like I'd always come back. Because, I mean, for a while, I didn't like Scotland or the UK.
Why?
I think it was actually down to my ex.
Oh, God.
He was very anti-Britain,
Okay.
which is weird because he is English. But he was very like, he just always complained about how shit the UK was and like how it was terrible and how he didn't like it. And then that kind of rubbed off on me. And then I think I was also young. Like we were together from when I was 16 to 21.
Right. Okay.
So I was probably...
That's pretty definitive.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so I was probably more impressionable.
Yeah.
And so I probably felt like, well, he doesn't like it, so I need to not like it as well. And then after we broke up, and then when I met Jack, I made sure to fall in love with home. I was like, I don't want my opinion to be his opinion. I want to know for myself. So when we got into van life, we did most of Scotland, we did England and Wales, and I just completely fell in love with it. I was like, I don't know what's wrong with him.
Scotland itself is fucking beautiful. Like, see, especially the rural parts, the beaches, there's nobody there. It's quiet, it's dead, the water's blue.
Absolutely stunning.
Did you realize the water turned green because of the algae that was in it?
Did it?
So there was a specific, this is such a weird fact for me. So there's a specific type of algae that about 2 or 3 years ago came over to Scotland and it turned the water green.
No way.
But it's actually venomous to dogs. Like
blue-green algae.
Yeah. Just turn the water like bright green.
Yeah, it's not good for you. Yeah.
No, the dogs, why is it not good for you?
I don't know. I believe it's in Glencoe Lochan as well. It's only certain times a year like that it flourishes. I think it's mostly summer, which is annoying because that's the time you want to swim.
Yeah.
But I think it's just like, it's not, I just think it's
like poisonous.
Yeah, it's like any kind of bad plant or fruit or something that you just shouldn't ingest. I couldn't tell you why, but like blue-green algae, they've now put signs up in certain places in the Cairngorms like tell you not to swim because like it's not good for dogs, it's not good for you.
They're starting to put up tons of signs of like no drones now.
Oh yeah, I've seen loads of them.
And I'm like,
but you still can drone because most of it is just private people saying
it's private land. Don't fly over my private land. Yeah.
But if you took off in the public road,
you're fine.
You still can fly over.
Yeah.
You just can't take off from the private land.
It's so funny when you're on content creator trips and like somebody sees a drone sign, like a no drone sign, and they're just like,
well, that one's such a weird one for me because like I have a lot of friends who are very anti like no drone.
Yeah.
I even it's my sinuses, they're not working.
You've got a cold, that's fine.
I've got a cold, I'm sorry. I had a friend come over from America and he was just like, I hate drones. When people drone in national parks. I hate when people do this. And I was like, did you drone here in Scotland? It's like one of the like Glencoe. It's a national park. Like you're technically not allowed to drone there.
It's just because it's not real
yet. Yeah. And he was just like, yeah, I did. And I was like, yeah, you've broken the rules then. Like it's still a national park. You're not allowed to drone there. We just don't enforce it.
See in Iceland, see if you go to Skogafoss, they have no drone signs everywhere and they enforce it. But the Visit Iceland page promotes the drone shots people get.
Exactly. Also, the other thing with Iceland is that if you speak to Icelanders, they don't care.
Yeah.
Like they literally like
I see it all the time.
I have friends in Iceland who are like, yeah, go on drone. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, you're a local.
Yeah,
I'm gonna listen to you. Like,
Yeah.
like if you've given me permission, fine. But like I know people get really
Touchy about
it. But if there's wildlife, I'm an absolute no.
Oh yeah. If
don't
there's
drone.
golden eagles,
Yeah,
or
if there's-
in Norway, there's that.
Yeah.
Some spots, yeah.
So like we accidentally droned in a place in Norway that we didn't, because the signs is terrible. There's a sign. It's about this big, the sign.
Yeah.
And it's like on the
eagles.
trail. And I literally like, we walked past it without even recognizing it. It was the national park sign.
Right.
Had no idea. Complete mistake. And then literally we saw a golden eagle at the top.
And you were like, fuck.
Yeah, literally. We were like, oops.
Yeah.
Won't do it again, obviously. But it's just, if there's wildlife, I'm very much like, no, don't do it. But I feel like at places like Skogafoss, it's literally just for traffic. Because there's so many people that go with drones, and if you've got like 10 drones in the air and no one's communicating,
Yeah, it's going to go into each other and then it'll fall.
exactly.
I think it's also people that don't know, like they buy a drone for Iceland.
Yeah.
And they don't actually know how to use. Like I've
Yeah,
seen
yeah.
people that have no idea how to use. Like I've been flying a drone for like 8 years. Like
Yeah,
I know what I'm doing and
Yeah.
I'm quite good at it.
Yeah.
People, they just have no idea what they're doing, and
No.
they put it straight in sports mode. And
Yeah.
ping
Oh,
it,
it's
and
the
you're like,
sports mode.
"Ah."
And then it crashes. And
Yeah.
then also, not to mention the fact that like when you crash it, you're potentially losing it in very beautiful places, and you probably can't retrieve it. So you're also
Yeah.
littering the ground.
Yeah.
So,
And as if the battery's also got
you know,
what's it got in it that you're not allowed to take it? Lithium.
yeah. So they're not great. So I totally understand and respect the signs, but it is just very annoying because it does ruin it for those that actually know what they're doing.
Yeah, and they won't mess it up. I see that what was really bad is when we were at that the volcano in Iceland. It was fucking carnage. Like everyone had a drone.
So carnage.
And the signal on your drone would
Yeah.
cut out because of the amount of other drones.
Yep. And also not to mention the magnetic
Feel from the magma.
interference from the yeah, it was just
It was a nightmare. So I was like flying and like I'd see another drone go past, and then all of a sudden my drone would cut out and I'd be like, it's gone. That's it gone.
It's gone.
Yeah, that's it gone. And then it would it's just absolute nightmare.
that actually happened to me at the volcano as well. I went too high into the smoke plumage. I didn't realize because I was so far away, which is oops. But
because that's magnetic, right? Or
Yeah.
it's like got stuff in it.
But
That's,
what happened was that when I was trying to descend, it would see the cloud as land,
and it just go really slowly through it.
and it
I've had that
but
in cloud
it just
inversion.
wouldn't go, and I was like, like, I need my drone back, and the
battery starts
the battery's getting
beeping.
low, and I
Yeah.
was just like, oh god, this is
Yeah.
horrible. I'm gonna be one of those. I did get it back though, but it was so funny because that drone, we weren't even that close to the volcano, but it was still so hot that the bottom of our drone melted.
Yeah.
And it literally had like a little leg sticking out of it. It was so
Yeah.
funny. It was just dangling.
What did
but
you
yeah.
think of FPV drones?
I think they're cool. I
Yeah.
think people are reckless with them.
I think it's a bit overdone now.
But yeah, that too.
Yeah, like I just feel like there was a point where only a select few had FPV drones, and it
Yeah.
was really cool.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's a bit like what we were talking about earlier. It's like the quick cut.
Yeah.
Like there's no actual story. There's just like
No.
montage of
Yes.
fast stuff.
Yep.
It's like, I don't
So
know.
I think FPV drones are fine. Like, but what I don't like is how people have used them in places where I just don't believe you should be using them.
Especially around wildlife.
Yeah.
Because the
Oh.
noise is insane.
Have you seen the video of the lion swatting at the FPV drone?
No.
There's literally a video of this. I don't know who it is. I can't remember the name. But basically, he posted a lot of videos where he flies into trees and there's monkeys.
Right.
And literally the monkeys are like, whoa.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to another clip of him chasing rhinos.
Oh my
And the
God.
rhinos are literally like,
Yeah.
And then there's another clip where he goes way too close to a male lion and the lion swats at the drone. And I was just like, and DJI, I believe,
Yeah.
posted it or something. I think it was with the avatar or something. I can't remember.
They'll post anything that goes viral though. Like
I know.
literally, it's the same as all these like social media pages. They
Yeah.
they see something that's trending and going viral, and then they'll just like essentially just repost it because it's not their content. So they're like,
Yeah,
well,
but
I
they're
didn't do anything
endorsing
wrong.
it.
They're endorsing it. Yeah, DJI are. DJI is funny. Have you ever worked with DJI?
I did some bits
Yeah.
with them. I've never actually done like a reel for them or anything like that. I only ever got asked to shoot the product for their social media.
Right, so like pictures of it.
Yeah, so
That's cool.
When the Mini 4 was released, my photo was the one that was like their main
header photo.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Which is quite cool.
Yeah.
But that's the most I've done with them. I've not really done anything else. I would like to do the reels for them and stuff, but no.
It's cool. It's cool. They're actually really, typically speaking, they're actually quite good at like, they have like a guy that essentially messages you, and if you have any issues, you just text him and he gets back to you.
Nice.
Like you have a personal contact there. But I just don't know why they endorse, like, because they have so many rules and parameters set up around filming. I'm kind of of the mind that, you know, when you see these DJI reels, most of them probably aren't actually filmed with that drone.
Yeah.
Because I was looking at like, because I went to Iceland to film with this drone specifically. And then I looked at other people's, and like, I don't want to say any names, but I asked a couple of people and they were just like, I just use fucking Mavic 3 footage.
Yeah, I've seen that before. I've seen people do that.
And like, nobody knows. Nobody can tell the difference. And you're kind of like...
Well, because 4K, right? It just kind of...
It kind of merges in. You can't really tell.
I think that's terrible, though. That's a bad precedent, I think.
It sets a bad precedent, yeah.
I think, like, that's lack of integrity for me, I think. I think it's always better, like, if you're asked to shoot with a product, you should shoot with that product.
And do it properly. Yeah, that's what
like,
I do.
You show the pros and cons of that product. Like, don't oversell it. Like, if you're trying to market a Mini 4's footage as a Mavic 3 footage or something, like, that's just not
the same.
No, the Mini can't do 7 times or something like that.
Do you use the 7 times zoom? Have you got a Mavic 3 Pro?
I do. I don't really use the 7 that often.
It's quite... I don't know. It's good for compression.
I struggle with frame rate.
Right.
So
because you need to shoot in 50.
Well, I find I can't get the right. So when I'm like, I don't know, because I was talking about it with Rami. Do you know him? He was in Kyrgyzstan with us with Jack Harding last year or so. But he's a videographer, and basically like in 7 times when you're moving, it's very jumpy and jittery.
Yeah.
And he said that there's a way that you can do it if you get the frame rate correct, and like.
So you need to, so your frame rate should always be, your shutter speed should always be double your frame rate.
Yeah, but it doesn't really work at the 7 times or something.
It's weird. I figured it out because I had the same issue. Yeah. I'll have a look, and so I'll actually show you. I definitely figured it out because we were shooting in Finland, and there was a video that I put live of like the moon.
Was that with the drone?
Yeah, that's
okay. I didn't realize that was with the drone.
That's the 7X.
Okay, right. I've never been able to get footage that smooth.
So that I don't know what I did. I can't really remember, but I remember the clips before that. I was like, that's not right because it was just weird.
Yeah.
And then I figured it out. I think I dropped the shutter a little bit lower than it should have been.
Okay, that makes sense.
It was something like that. Yeah. But yeah, it's a bit of a weird one.
Yeah, like you have to fiddle it because otherwise it's like really jittery. So I just stick to 3 times. And to be honest, I quite like the 1. Like I quite like
the whole setting. And also for Instagram, you can just chop into like which bit you want because it's 5.1K. So
exactly.
Just, like, whichever bit.
I don't know. I mean, I love compression. I've always loved compression.
Your photography is very compressive. Yeah, I've noticed that.
I am such a compression person. I mean, that's where Tiny Sarah came from. Like, I'm 4'11", so I just like.
Are you 4'11"?
Yeah, I didn't even reach 5. How pathetic is that? That's just sad.
I didn't think you were that small.
Yeah, I'm that small. Yeah. So yeah, that's where like compression came from because I just loved making myself look even smaller. And the thing is, it's so 2018 Instagram because I know everyone was kind of doing it, but I still love it. Like I still love the idea of the world being so huge.
Yeah, and you being so small.
It actually is that big.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I find sometimes adding compression kind of makes it look more natural.
Yes.
Because sometimes when you shoot wide, you kind of lose
perception of how big it is.
Exactly.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So I'm like, you know what? I don't care if it was a trend or if it's been overdone. I'm like, I like it.
What's your favorite lens to use?
It was the 100-400. Then it was the 85.
1.2 or?
I only got 1.8.
Well, that's still good.
Yeah, but 1.2, I do like. Is it 1.2 or 1.4? I can't remember.
One of the two.
One of the other.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did 1.8, 85, 1.8, because it was nice and lightweight, but it was just beautiful.
Just, really sharp.
Yeah, just beautiful. And then the 100-400. The 100-400 will always be my favorite lens, I think, because I'm
looking at one right now.
So nice.
I'm looking at
I think I got really lucky because a lot of people complain that their 100 to 400 isn't sharp, but mine is like crisp.
Is it an F4?
F
5.5, 5.6.
5.6 to 6.3, I believe it is.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I kind of want one.
Yeah, I recommend it.
A pal of mine had it in Finland, and it was like the shots he was getting of the moon and
So
just
nice.
the compression. It just adds so much.
Yeah.
But then there's like an issue that comes with compression where when you're hiking, you're like to your friend, you're always like, right, do you want to go like a mile that way? It's like just leave and I'll tell you, I'll call you.
Well, we did that. Jack and I did that in Iceland. Annoyingly, it was kind of a shot that everyone decided to do afterwards as well. But it was I believe, this glacier.
Okay.
Was this at Jökulsárlón?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, it was.
So,
yeah.
The other one was, it's Fjallsárlón, the one next to it.
Yes.
So Jack was like a kilometer and a bit away, and then he shot me at 600 with the 200 to 600 with the glacier, and I looked like
really small,
minuscule, and then it's just massive glacier.
That's
and
cool.
like I just love that. Like I love shots like that. And we were
it's more dramatic.
Yeah, and I think it just, I don't know, to me that's how I feel when I'm there. I feel like it's that big. I feel like it is that huge, and I do feel like I'm that small because like you think about these things, especially stuff like glaciers, you know, they've been there millions of years just carving away. Like they are huge. They're way bigger than we are. It
is wild to know like how big, because we only see like a tiny portion of the glacier. Like in Iceland, for example, you only see a tiny portion, but you go to the top and it's just like flat.
Yeah.
It's just wild.
Isn't
it's so
it cool?
weird that it's like that. Yeah.
It just kind of like flatten themselves off. It's really interesting.
Yeah. I know. I need to pee really quick, but what we'll do is we'll reset and get another tea.
Yes,
Do you want
please.
to?
I also need to pee.
Chisholm Hunter are the sponsors of the Into the Mind podcast, and without Chisholm Hunter, we would not be sat here today. They have 28 stores throughout the UK, and they specialize in luxury watches and luxury jewelry. They do luxury watches like Tag Heuer, Blancpain, Vacheron Constantin, Tudor, Omega, pretty much every brand you can think of. Chisholm Hunter are authorized retailers for those brands. Honestly, whenever I buy a watch, I have kind of a obsessive personality when it comes to watches, and I have a huge watch collection, and I always buy my watches from Chisholm Hunter. They're the only brand that I trust. They're family run and have been going for over 165 years. And throughout that 165 years, they've built a brilliant reputation. They honestly prioritize experience over anything else, and I think that's really, really quite amazing. So if you're looking for a watch for yourself or a diamond for a loved one, then head to chisholmhunter.co.uk. That's chisholmhunter.co.uk. And while you're there, use the discount code CHSUB, that is CHSUB, for an exclusive 10% off selected lines. That is chisholmhunter.co.uk, chisholmhunter.co.uk. And on that note, let's get back to the podcast. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, so contacts in the photography industry and the sharing of contacts. What are your thoughts on that?
So I try to avoid sharing contacts as much as possible. I only will give contacts to friends that I believe will not, that I trust, basically. I will only hand a contact if I know that that person is not going to ruin my reputation or tarnish anything, or, someone that I can trust. The idea of handing out contacts to just anyone just feels really dodgy, because also the client might not want that. The client's also trusting you to keep themselves private too, so you can't just be doing that, really. I think
recommendations are, if someone asks you for a recommendation, they trust you, and if you give them a bad recommendation, it's like they don't really trust you anymore.
So I've given only I think I've only ever given it two clients to people ever out of the 6 years. And that was to friends that I've worked with and trusted for a long time, and they've also got work from it.
I think when you have a close group like you do, you can you trust that they might give you a contact if you give them a contact. And they we try to help each other out.
Exactly.
Yeah, especially if you can't, I've had work that I can't take on, and I've given to friends because I'm I can't take this on.
Yes.
But I really trust you to do it.
That's the only time as well. But I wouldn't even say that that's me giving contacts. Because I'd be messaging the client saying, look, I'm not available, but I can recommend XYZ.
Yeah, if you're happy with it.
And then usually they'll say, yeah, we'd love to, and then I'll hand them out. But if it was like a client that I've worked with for a long time, and then someone asks me, can I have their contact details? I'd be like,
No.
probably not, you know?
Yeah. I think that's the thing when people start out in the industry. The industry is about relationships.
Yeah.
It's like, it's building the relationship, getting in contact with people, building your kind of your group, and then you can travel with them, and that's part of the amazing thing.
Yeah.
People that are just coming in, and especially when people are quite aggressive when they come in, like
they're very keen.
They're very keen, but they don't understand that, you know, it's taking you, like, you might have worked with the North Face and it's taken you 6 years to get the contact.
Yeah.
And they're coming in and just being like, well, can I get the contact? And you're like, well,
You're like, not really.
not really, because it's taking me a long time. And also I'm shooting myself in the foot because all the work would then...
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's been a long time since I worked with the North Face. But yeah.
What did you do with them?
I basically just...
Jackets
and... But my most fun... I've been very lucky with a lot of my clients, but I think the most exciting one was actually one of my first, which was Berghaus, because
you worked with Berghaus in your first.
It was my first commercial shoot. It was with Berghaus,
wow.
And my photo got on a billboard in Manchester.
That's sick.
And I was like, "What the hell? I made it! It's been downhill since then." I was like, "I'm like a big deal." No, but literally, it's just. That's probably one of my favorites. And again, I actually had someone ask me for the contact and I was like, I can't do that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, like contacts are a weird thing because I think people feel entitled to them as well.
You need to work for them.
But yeah.
What would be your advice for like someone beginning, like let's say there's someone listening to this that's beginning in the industry of travel, content creation, photography, videography, of getting the contacts?
So what's weird is because most of my friends pitch. They'll go in LinkedIn, they'll search for emails, they'll find people, they'll hunt down clients.
Yeah.
I've actually never done that. When I worked, one of the jobs I worked on, I spoke to the CMO of the company and I wanted some advice because he was, he's the chief marketing officer of like this massive company. And I was like, well, like what's the best way to get clients? And he was like, well, the last thing you want to do is message people. And I was like, oh.
Going against everything I know.
Yeah, I was like, okay, explain, And he said, you have to remember that there are like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people that are messaging on Instagram, emailing. Like there's a reason why companies use agencies. It's because they don't want to give out their email. Because if they give out their email gets bombarded with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of like requests of people trying to work with them. So he was like, the last thing you want to do is message people. And if the company really wants to work with you, that they'll find you. And I thought, okay, that's questionable. But I took his advice and I actually never reached out to anyone. The only time I reached out to someone was Garmin. And they said no.
I've got a contact in Garmin.
Have you? Nice.
I can get you contact in Garmin. They're on financial year. It depends if you. That's another thing that people don't really understand. If you message someone at a bad point, they're not going to have budget. Yeah. And most people are on financial year, so March, April time. Like at the moment, we're kind of fucked because nobody has budget.
Exactly. So and that was they had reached out to work with me, but at the time they went with someone else rather than me. And then I was like, that's fine. But then I had an idea and wanted to pitch them that idea. And I was like, you know what? I'll just go for it. And that was the only time I ever pitched and I didn't get it. So I was like, oh, well, maybe it doesn't work. But it was only one time. Like I know people that...
pitch 100 times, you get one.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I know so many other people who have pitched, and they barely get any responses. And then one time I did like a takeover on an account. And all I saw was messages, hundreds and hundreds of messages of, we'd love to work with you. Can you send me a free jacket? We'd love to work. And I was like, that is overwhelming. Yeah. Like, how do you sift through all that? Can't. So while I don't have like outright advice, I just kind of can only tell you what I did, which is like, I don't even really have a website. I literally just treat Instagram as my portfolio. And I just do my best to try and share what I love, share like client work, share just my experiences. And the clients have kind of just come themselves. I've been really lucky because
Well, there's part of it's luck, but part of it's like the photography is great.
Thank
Like
you.
the photography, no, but
Thank
the
you.
photography is good. Like you
Yeah.
can't. I think that you've been doing this for so long that and you won't even see it now. But you have a cleanliness to your photos that not many other
Thanks.
people can replicate, and that takes a lot of time to get to
Yeah.
that point.
Yeah.
So part of it's luck, but you have been working on it for a long time.
True. I'll give you that. Thank you. Yeah. So, but I think because it's weird because so many of my friends have websites. I'm like the odd one out, and they always have a go at me for not having a website. I'm like, well, I've got more clients than you.
I don't need one.
like my method works,
Yeah.
you know. And I don't mean that to be like arrogant or anything. It's just like I think it just works for some people. Some methods work for some people and some methods work for others. And for me, like I never really needed a website and I never needed to reach out. Like I was very lucky to just kind of have Instagram as my portfolio. And I've been very lucky with Sony as well, because Sony asked me to do like a review for them on YouTube. And that was my first ever YouTube video. I don't even know why they asked me to do it because I didn't even have YouTube at the time.
Yeah.
So then I did this.
Well, you were trusted in the space.
Yeah. But it was a lot of trust, you know. So I did this YouTube video, and then that led to work with Polar Pro.
Yeah.
And that was literally just from the YouTube, because they said that they saw that review video and they're like, we'd like you to review our gear.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that like there was no website there. There was no reaching out to anyone. It was just that snowball effect of posting, and then a brand sees it, and then it led to something. I will also say be careful with how you message people as well, because you never know who's in your DMs. There was one time where I was, so before I got the Berghaus job, I used to speak to this guy in my DMs, had no idea who he was. I just thought it was some guy. Later on, I met him, and he was actually the guy who hired me for the Berghaus job.
Okay, right.
So always be nice.
Yeah.
You never know who you're speaking to. And just kind of like, just be yourself and work hard. Like, I don't really know the formula. I don't know. I mean, I'm still winging it. I mean, I've had years where I've had no work. And then I've thought maybe I do need a website, you know? But yeah, I just think it's whatever, because Jack gets a lot of work from his website, but he can make his own website and do all that himself. He's like really talented in that sense, and like he got this golf people from that, and so it's just finding what works for you. I think I don't really.
There's not a formula.
No, I don't think there is.
Yeah.
I think it's just whatever. I mean, the reason I don't have a website is because I'm lazy.
Just can't be bothered.
I literally can't be bothered.
Yeah.
But the fact that I keep getting work without it keeps pushing the fact that I don't need one. So
well, websites, I suppose websites are built on SEO, like search engine optimization in terms of landing on you, whereas Instagram is not. It's its own network. I think that it would take years to establish your website and get any reach on it. So you're probably best just going with Instagram at the moment if that's what's working for you.
Yeah.
It's like anything in life. Figure out the 20% that is giving you the maximum reward and get rid of the 80. Try and offload the 80.
Yeah,
and if Instagram's the one that's giving you the reward, I mean, don't put your eggs all in the one basket, but
which is actually kind of my problem. I have done that. Oh,
with Instagram.
Yeah, all my eggs are in one basket.
But you're looking at YouTube.
But I am moving on.
You're looking at YouTube, and honestly, the money in YouTube is so much better than the money on Instagram.
Yeah, honestly, I'm very impressed with like just seeing Jack find himself with YouTube.
Yeah.
Just from what he's gotten from this one running video, if you get like 5 of those, that's not bad. Like if you can just cover like living costs, like that can change a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, you don't need to be making like, I mean, I'm always the person that I'm not a big money person anyway. So like,
you don't care about money.
I don't care about that stuff. But for me, I know like a lot of people be looking at YouTube, be like, yeah, we can make big bucks. But like, for me, I'm just amazed at how you can just afford to live off of YouTube.
Yeah.
You can afford your food, your petrol, your like, and I find that fascinating. I find that you can just do that just of being yourself and just showing what you do. And that's kind of what's pushed me to want to do YouTube, because I'm like, I already do this, but I just need to do it in a different format. And if I can literally pay for just everyday things with it, that's great.
Yeah.
Because then Instagram can be my income, but like YouTube
on the side, you've got that growing.
Yeah, even if it doesn't get huge, as long as it's enough to cover like the fuel of the van or just everyday food, I'm so good with that. Like, yeah, I'm so good with that.
Ad revenue is only like, I spoke to do you know a guy called Nico Leonard?
No.
He's this.
I don't think so.
How do I describe him in a PC way? He's this big Irish guy he's a watch guy. So he's got 1.6 million subscribers. He's like huge on YouTube. He's big. And I spoke to him. He actually gave me a call, and I was just kind of describing what was happening with the channel. He was telling me like what to change and what to do and giving me some advice. And he was like, just remember that your YouTube ad revenue is like the cherry on top. You should not even be looking at that. That's not your source of income. You should be looking at affiliate linking deals with marketing, building your own brand. The ad revenue on the side, just don't even look at it. It will just be a pleasant surprise when it arrives when you can.
That's kind of how I'm seeing it, just a pleasant surprise.
Exactly. Because you've got all your work with Instagram, but on the side you should be taking that. But also through learning stuff for YouTube, you learn how to edit, you learn how to storyboard, you learn how to like music design, sound design, color grading. Like
it's basically just kind of starting again. Because I mean, we learned all that with Instagram and photography, and now I'm kind of like, well, I'll use YouTube to learn video, and all of these things are kind of coming together. Except for music, still, I'm still working on that, as we said earlier.
Yeah, music can be quite difficult. Well, it's just like, you know what it is, especially for me, it's you find a vibe that you really, really like, and it's fucking licensed, and you think, well, I can't do it now.
I know.
Because I'll never find the same soundtrack or song.
Apparently, music bed's the way to go.
I've heard music bed's good. I use Epidemic Sound. I've been using Epidemic Sound for like 3 years. Problem is, and this is something to be really careful with.
Okay.
So you start posting on YouTube, and you're a year down the line, and ad revenue is coming in, and then you change your music server to music bed. Epidemic Sound, it will demonetize all the stuff that's already live. So you get stuck in the one music.
I didn't even think about that.
So you need to be really careful. See, when you first start, when you first, it's a great tip because so many people fall down that trap.
So true.
Including myself, by the way.
Okay.
So what Epidemic Sound is obviously what I've been using.
Yeah.
I'm getting kind of bored of Epidemic Sound, but I know that I can't get rid of it because all my videos over the last 3 years will get demonetized.
Well, as long as your monetization covers the cost, it should be okay, right?
It's not bad. Like it definitely will cover the cost, but it's still frustrating that it's still going to take money out of your account. And as the YouTube channel grows, what Epidemic Sound will do is it will grow in cost because it's like, well, you've got a bigger channel, or you're using it on different channels, and twats. Lots to think about. But it is, I promise you, it's just so much nicer. It's just such a nicer place to be, and it's so much more rewarding to like put effort into a video and really see the rewards from that.
Yeah.
Even with a smaller audience. I would much rather have 10,000 subscribers on YouTube than 100,000 on Instagram.
I totally agree with that. Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure my 92 isn't even 92. I'm pretty sure that's still about 10.
Because there's only like 5 see it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm pretty sure that's a false number at this point. Like, not on purpose. I just think like...
Did you get rid of all the... There's like a setting that you can get rid of all the ghost followers.
So I wanted to, but then I was like, but what if it takes me down to like 80? Then I'll never reach the 100. Yeah. I do know a couple of my friends who did it who have like a million and another one that has like 600,000, and they said it made no difference.
I got rid of 10,000 followers and it made no difference to my account. And
go.
I was like, well, fucking great.
Why did I do that? And now your cost will be lower. Yeah. So I'm kind of just like, I'll just leave it. Like everyone said it made no difference. So
it makes no difference.
Whatever.
It honestly doesn't. See if you were to... What do you think is the biggest lesson you've learned over your kind of like 6-7 years in the photography niche?
Oh God, I'm not that profound. I don't really know, I think for me, I need to stop. I've learned that comparison is definitely the thief of joy.
100% agree.
It's probably one of the greatest quotes ever, because like it really is just... Instagram is so cruel in that sense, where if you're comparing yourself, it just sucks all the fun out, and it sucks all the passion away. And especially that's the hard part of Instagram, because you can look at everyone and think they're so successful, that they're doing so well, And and people will probably think that about me. Like, they'll look at me and think that. And I think we all have that within us. And I know this isn't quite what you asked, but for me, it's like, just stop, take a step back and just not compare my journey to someone else's journey. And I think that's kind of the biggest lesson for me, because I just think I'm shit all the time. To be very honest, I literally, I'm very bad for it. I'll be out shooting with people and I'll be like, I'm not as good as them. I'm not as creative. I'm not as hardworking. I think the hardworking part is also a really big issue for me, because I feel like I'm lazy, but I think that's down to the ADHD, where I just find it very difficult to focus. And
do you have a routine? Like, because I'm diagnosed ADHD.
Okay.
So there's ways of, I feel like with anyone's brain, they need to just listen to it. Like, you see if you've got brain fog, why don't you eat good food? Like, see if you are feeling really low, why don't you go for exercise? There's ways of listening to your brain. Do you have like a routine around work, or do you think something you're maybe missing a little bit?
I don't see routines. I find I'm terrible at.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not good at getting up in the morning. I'm not good at going to bed at night. Like, I'm not.
And it's not going to change.
It is not going to change.
But would you be good at getting up in the morning if there was a sunrise hike?
So I do get up.
So that's it.
So it is within me.
Yeah.
So I totally get what you're saying. It's just when it's like an everyday thing.
Mundane.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's so hard for me to do. Like, but even then, I can't get up myself. It's usually Jack dragging me out of bed. He's usually going, hurry up, come on. Like, I think I'm definitely someone who needs like external motivation. I struggle a lot with internal motivation. I think that also comes from skating. I've always had coaches,
like egging you on, telling you what to do.
Yeah, and I also had very supportive parents who also would kind of get me out of bed, drive me to skating, drive me to school. I've always had external motivation. So I don't think I've fully learned how to motivate myself.
Okay.
If you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm trying now. I'm okay. I think I'm getting by. I've managed up until now, but I think when I compare myself to so many other people, how much more hardworking, determined, driven, and I just don't have those emotions. I'm just like, it's quite hard, and comparison is the thief of joy, like 100%. I think that's my biggest lesson. Just when out shooting, just ignore it, just do your own thing.
Have fun.
Don't focus on what other people are doing, because we're all different and we have different ways of processing. It's not like I'm not successful. It's not like that I'm not achieving anything. I just have my very weird way of doing it, but because I'm comparing myself to other people who maybe do it a bit more normal, or who make it look easier, I'm kind of just like, it makes me feel insecure, but by removing that, then I can just get on with it.
Yeah, no, it kind of makes sense. There's a question that I ask quite a lot of people in the podcast, and it kind of like makes you think about, especially about like your past and where you come from. Would you describe yourself as driven to succeed, or you're being dragged to succeed? And I think you kind of answered it with the external motivation. Like, when you think back, do you think that you're being dragged because of something that has happened in your past?
Well, I don't know. I don't think at the moment I'd say I'm neither. I don't think succeed or successfulness is kind of what I strive to achieve. I just kind of want to, as long as I make enough to live and get by, I'm very happy. Like, I don't feel this need for like
hundreds of thousands of pounds.
No, I mean, I hear a lot of people want it. I'm very much like, I don't need it. Like, as long as I can buy a house and live comfortably, I'm happy. So I'm driven to be comfortable, but in terms of to be success, I'd probably say I'm dragged to success. So if I wanted success, someone would need to motivate me to do it, and I can do it. It's just I would need like a motivator for sure.
Yeah.
But for my own, it would be driven to comfort. So as long as I can drive myself to get myself into a position that's happy and comfortable.
Yeah.
But if I wanted more than that, it would have to be external motivation and be dragged there for sure.
I think a lot of the time with creative jobs, at least this is from my experience, treating it a little bit like a 9 to 5. And I know it's not, but treating it like that can sometimes help, because it gives you, especially with like my brain and your brain might be quite similar in the way they work. They're really sporadic. They'll jump around stuff. They kind of avoid what they don't want to do.
Yeah.
If there's like 5 tasks in a row that I need to complete, I'll fucking freak out. I'm just like, I can't deal with it.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
Treating it a bit like a 9 to 5, like sitting in front of the computer and saying, I'm going to edit, a video, a YouTube video and a reel today or whatever it might be. Sometimes that brings out creativity from you, even though you don't necessarily feel like you want to be creative. Yeah. Also putting your phone away is so good.
Yes. I think for me as well, because my setup is very unconventional, I don't have an office. I don't have...
So you just work from a laptop and just kind of
all the time. Like my whole life is from a laptop. Like, so if that laptop goes, I'm fucked.
Where's your storage? Have you got storage units?
I literally, so bless my parents, my room at my house is literally a storage room.
It's hard drives.
It's just like, hard drives. So when we're in the winter season, all the summer clothes are there. When we're in the summer season, all the winter clothes are there. Okay. Jack's bike is kept there.
That's what parents are for. It's fine.
And I'm just like, keep the door closed and just pretend it's not there. And I keep telling them that I'm going to do it up and make it nice, but literally there's just so much crap.
Yeah. It's like overwhelming almost.
Yeah. Like every time I go to do it, I'm like, I feel like I've barely made a dent. Like literally before the Finland trip, I cleaned out so much crap and it still looks just like a mound of shit. And I'm like, I've literally made no dent. So that's where my storage is. It's kept to my parents. I mean, they're very supportive with anything that I do. So, they're more than happy to like. They tell me that's my room. I can do what I want with it.
Yeah,
it will always be that. So I kind of maybe I take a little bit of an advantage.
Yeah.
But yes, it's just kind of that's my storage because storage units are expensive.
Storage units are expensive. Hard drives are also expensive.
Yeah,
it's shit. Like I don't know. You do primarily photography at the moment, so you use maybe like the Google Drives, the blue ones.
I don't know.
Do you use SSDs?
Yeah.
You use SSDs, so they're like 1-2 terabytes,
I've got
right?
like the Samsung T9.
Yeah. So how many terabytes do you have? Do you reckon?
So that one is 4 terabytes. The one I'm using now is 4 terabytes. But
okay.
I've got like 4
terabytes.
2 terabyte ones that I used all last year because it was all photos. I wasn't really doing video then.
Yeah.
And then the year before that was when I was still using not SSDs, the hard drives.
Google Drives.
Yeah. And like it's so funny because I can see my progression in my choice of hard drives.
Like, this is safer and faster.
Yeah. Like as I move on and get better, you can see that the hard drives improve.
I had literally, so remember the Google Drives, the blue ones with the rubber on the outside? They were like, I think it was like 2 terabytes each.
Yeah.
And what I would do is I had a really bad time in Norway. I went for 2 weeks and I like plugged my hard drive in and it was just corrupted. And I filmed the full project and I was like,
shit.
Fuck. Luckily, whenever we go in these projects, we share with everyone. Yeah. So they all had most of it. And I was like, thank God.
Yeah.
But ever since then, I had just like anxiety about anything. Yeah. So I'd buy a hard drive and then buy a spare. And it's like 300 quid a pop for a fucking hard drive. And SSDs are worse.
Yeah.
So I buy a hard drive, buy a spare, and I literally at my parents' house in the spare bedroom, like you, there's just like a pile of just hard drive. And I don't know what to do with them because I'm like, well, I don't want to bin them because just in case.
Don't bin them.
To keep them there. But there's so you see this TerraMaster thing here, the box?
Oh, yeah.
So that's a 55 terabyte hard drive that's full. So I need to put that, and then see when you get into video, the space you use is mental.
Oh, God. I'm not...
In the office upstairs, I've got 2 more of them. So that's like 120 terabytes.
See, this is the only reason I want a house.
So I can store shit.
So I can store things.
Yeah.
That's the only downfall of van life. I have no storage. Like there's just no...
There's no space.
There's no space. Everything has to be cut down. I can't have 55 terabytes. It's not allowed.
Yeah. You need to delete something.
Everything must go. So yeah, that's like the only reason I get a house is so I could probably have an office. But going back to your routine question about like trying to have routine, I think if I could, I have thought about ways that I could try and improve my work. Your
workflow.
My workflow, that's the word I'm looking for. And I thought like going to cafes just to get out the van.
Yeah.
And just because I find when I'm in the van, it's so, because I literally sit in bed. Like,
yeah, it's not the place
it's
to
not
work.
like
Yeah.
all my work comes from this little bed in the van. Like that's where everything is created. Because we have like, so the van is kind of laid out into 3 sections. So we have the cab, which is where we sit when we're driving. And then we have seats that can turn around. And then there's a seating area. And then that's where Jack will sit. Then there's the kitchen. Then there's the bedroom, which has a curtain.
Right.
So whenever we want space, I'll go in the bed and shut the curtain.
Fuck off.
Quite literally. I'm just like, curtain shut, leave me alone.
Right.
But that's also like my comfortable space. So
Yeah.
it's so hard to kind of like,
Draw the line.
and remain
Yeah, yeah.
motivated. So if I thought if I got out the van, maybe get into a cafe, like you say, maybe 9 to 5, or maybe even like, doesn't even need to be 9 to 5. It could be like 10 to 3.
Yeah,
Like,
or just something. Like,
yeah.
I feel like, especially when you have a more creative job, like we do in photography, video, editing, whatever it might be, it's really important to have routine or else nothing will get done.
Yeah.
But like, at least that's what I found. So
Yeah.
I try and like get up, go to the gym or go run. Otherwise, I'm just a fucking nightmare to be around.
Amazing.
I need to exercise. And then I'll have like a routine when I get
Yeah.
home. Like I'll have my coffee, I'll go edit. Like I might sit in front of the computer for 3 hours and get very little done.
4 seconds.
Yeah, literally last night was a perfect example of
Yeah.
just a shit show of editing.
I
But-
totally feel you.
but then there's days that you go and you're like, right, I've got this. Like
Yeah,
I can figure it out.
Yeah.
And you end up working way above what you're meant to just
Yeah.
because.
And then you actually drain yourself, and then
Yeah.
you don't end up working for another week.
Yeah, the next day you're like, oh,
You're like, I've done too much. But I don't know. I just, it's so nice to have days when you're motivated though.
yeah, and you're creative and it's
Yeah.
coming to you.
And then you're
yeah.
like, why would you stop? You know, you're like, it's there, it's never there. Utilize it. You know, that's kind of how I feel.
You know, one of the most important things that I've got, I'm actually going to give you one. I've got them sitting upstairs. Is like a Chisholm Hunter, but this is a shameless plug because they are the sponsors of the podcast. But it's a Chisholm Hunter book, so all the
Okay.
guests get a Chisholm Hunter book. And what I do, see, when you're having those creative days where you're like, you're thinking of things, you've got everything makes sense.
Yeah.
Like you've just got mental clarity.
Yeah.
I honestly, I've got a book up there that I just write all my notes down on.
I journal. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's so
but
good.
Without it, all those ideas,
They just
because the
go.
next day they would just go.
They're completely gone.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, like I wrote.
Yeah.
I had a script in my head that I was going over for this video that I'm editing, and I was like,
Okay.
"Oh, I've nailed it. I figured out how to like link this in," and I didn't write it down, and now I can't
No.
remember what it was.
No.
So it's so important,
Yeah.
like to. So you journal every day then?
Well, not every
or-
day. I used to journal every day. Because I also, like, I was actually diagnosed with depression, like, when I was 18. I think I'm not sure if I was misdiagnosed
Okay.
and that it was ADHD. I still need to get, like, that sorted. But I was diagnosed with depression. And, like, for, like, 3 years, I journaled every day. And it helped so much. Because, like, my mind's a storm.
Yeah,
It's just, like,
putting it down on paper.
yeah, like, I describe it as an overflow car park. Which is like,
That's a great way of saying it.
well, it kind of, if you imagine the car park's full and then the overflow car park, everyone's like angry, they've got road rage, they're trying to get a space, they're all screaming at each other. And then when one space is empty, another one's immediately
Takes its place.
takes the space. So that's kind of like how my brain is. I feel like even when I clear a thought, there's another thought that immediately has to fill the gap. And everyone in there is angry. Everyone in there is just like screaming at each other. Like, you need to listen to me. No, listen to me. Like, like this thought is more important than this thought. Like, that's kind of my brain. So the only way for me to like clear any of that was to just journal. And so I would, even if it was nonsense, I would just write. And it is so much nicer than typing. Like on your phone or like on a laptop. There's something about pen to paper that actually, it feels like it's kind of like transferring through me. Like,
Yeah.
It's so weird.
It's like spilling out.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my god, there's spaces, there's cars that are leaving. Like, you know, it's so weird and bizarre. But like, for 3 years I did it every day. And like it made such a difference. Now I only journal when it's full. And
When you need to.
When I'm like, I get something out. And even then, now I use my phone. If I've got like a thought, I'm like, quick, note it down. Or like, I'm feeling overwhelmed, just get whatever this thought is out my way. And then I probably will never revisit it again.
Yeah.
All my notes on my phone is just random little sentences that
Yeah.
make no sense to me.
Yeah.
Like,
You read it in a year and you're like, wait, what?
yeah, I'm just like, what even was that? you
Yeah.
know? So I will happily take one of them because journaling's literally saved me from like just an overwhelmed brain.
So that was 18 around about that happened.
Yeah, so I was literally on antidepressants from 18 until November last year.
Really?
Yeah,
For
and
that long?
Yeah, I was on and off them. I took maybe about 1 year off in that time from 18 till last year. So 10 years of antidepressants, which
Wow.
is like,
And do you feel a difference now that you're out? Like, do you feel more clear, or is it?
I feel happier,
Okay.
I think. Well, because ironically, one of the side effects of antidepressants is depression.
It's like, you can't rate it, can you?
No, like, so it's kind of insane. I mean, I don't hate on antidepressants at all. There was a time where I fully couldn't function without them, like definitely needed them. But they made me so tired. Like
10 years is a long
Yeah.
time to be on. What was it? Was it sertraline?
sertraline, yeah.
Yeah, sertraline.
It was 100 milligrams sertraline.
You were on 100 milligrams of sertraline?
Yeah, for like 5 of those years. And then I
Wow.
switched to 50 because I felt I was improving.
Yeah.
And then I switched to 50. And then honestly, like the energy that I gained just from switching to the 50,
Yeah.
because the 100 destroyed me. I had to nap all the time. I was exhausted all the time. It just made me like lethargic, and I could function, but barely. Like it was just, it took the sadness away, but at what cost?
Yeah,
You know,
it
it was kind of
yeah.
like, but at the time I definitely needed it. There was no other option for me at that time. And then when I eventually went to 50, I was like, oh my God, I have energy. Like I can do things. And then, yeah, I was still just really tired, still napped a lot, but nowhere near as bad as the 100. And then what actually happened, I went to Malaysia with my family and I actually just forgot my meds. I literally just forgot them. And I was like, well, shit, I'm going to go
Yeah.
cold turkey. Like, I was like, and you're not supposed to do that. So I literally...
Did you feel weird when you were coming off of them?
Oh yeah, going cold turkey is horrible.
Yeah, you get like
you're-
shivers
You're
and-
sweating, you're
yeah.
shivering. I felt like I had like electric shocks going through my body. It's like...
Yeah, that's what happens. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's different. Yeah, there's there's certain drugs that you take. People take at festivals as well. They call them zaps. It's like a MDMA, so it releases a
Okay.
bunch of endorphins in your brain, and you. It's been described to me that you go to bed after you've taken MDMA and you get like zaps.
Yeah.
Get like zaps
That's what it was like.
But it's the
Yeah.
same thing when you come off antidepressants or
Okay, yeah.
anxiety medication.
There you go. Yeah, that's pretty much what I was going through.
Yeah.
And that was just November past. And I was like, well, actually, why don't I just try and stay off them? Like, I feel at a stage in my life where I'm okay. Like, I'm not manic depressive like I was. So I was kind of like, why don't I just try it? And then I actually felt way better off them. It's
Yeah.
the first time where I've been off my medication and actually felt better.
Do you think it's because it coincided with the move to the van, the kind of freedom aspect of your life? Like, do you think it's
know.
because of the kind of the parallel nature of both of them? It just worked out at the right time.
Maybe, like potentially. I think because I always think about like what the causes are, but there's so many like factors in my life that it's so hard to pinpoint one thing.
Yeah,
And it probably is a mix of all of them. But it's so weird because being off, it's actually strange not taking medication every day as well. Like I feel like I need to go do it.
You're like
and I'm
missing something.
Yeah. I'm like, no, I don't do that anymore. But yeah, it's like, it's the first time I've actually been off meds and actually gone, I feel better. And it's, I don't want to, but I expect that it may happen again in the future, that if I need to go on them, like that's okay. But I mean, I hope it doesn't happen, but if it does, I'm okay with that. But it's just great to know that at this time that I'm actually like, all right, you know?
Well, I think that it's getting into the routine and it's finding something you really enjoy. Like people without purpose go insane.
Yeah,
and like I've been there as well. Like from 18 to 21, I was like, I had nothing. I was like, there's nothing really that I care about. And then it drives you to just go to clubs and get fucked and do drugs. And like,
exactly.
because you're like, well, I don't have a purpose. Like,
Yeah.
why am I here? And then you've clearly found the photography and video niche. And I do think there's a parallel there between you
Makes
kind
sense.
of like feeling mentally more
Probably,
clear
yeah.
and the photography aspect, because that becomes your passion.
Yeah, it kind of, well, it's become my identity as well.
Yeah, that's an issue as well, though. You need to be careful with that.
Well, that is, well,
Yeah.
because I did have that issue, because after skating, when I stopped skating, you can imagine
your
how
social
much of a crash that was. I literally had no idea who I was. I was like, what do I do?
Yeah.
My whole life, like I didn't.
All my friends are skaters.
Yeah, I
and-
didn't go to school. Like, I mean, I did go to school, but I never focused on it because I always thought
Skating
skating
was
would
the
be the thing. And like my entire identity just like collapsed on me, and it was just gone. Like literally like that. It was just gone. And so yeah, identity is a problem for sure, and I am cautious of it. But I mean, I also need to. There's also nothing wrong with taking pride in being like
part
a
of
photographer.
that group. Well, yeah, and it's a really great group to get into. But that's why I think that, see, when you do like YouTube, you get into YouTube, you diversify that, and then start looking at other things that you enjoy.
Yeah.
And honestly, you don't always need to monetize them. Like I'm really, it's kind of an issue for me where I'll be like, I'll get good at something and then be like, well, I can make money off of it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it becomes a job.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
I have like 8 jobs.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
That's why I started the podcast, because it was a way of like, it's something that doesn't necessarily, like it cleans itself. It doesn't, it can, sponsors kind of pay for some stuff, but it's never really been about the money. Like,
like
I'm not going to
passion
make any money.
project.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not going to make any
exactly.
money from it.
Yeah.
But I really enjoy to do it.
Yeah.
And also social skills as well for
Yeah,
someone with
true.
ADHD is like, learning that is
Facts.
really beneficial. Yeah.
Facts.
Because like, oh, you should have seen if you listen to the podcast with Chris, see when you get like 2 hours in,
Okay.
because we were drinking whiskey, the ADHD, and like I'll hop around, I'll be talking about something totally separate, and then all of a sudden it's like about the news, and then it's about something different. And he's like, what the hell is going on?
I think we've done well, actually, you know. We've not jumped around a lot, which I'm
we've stuck
surprised.
in. We've stuck, because I'm not drinking.
That's probably it, actually. There's no drugs.
You see, if you were to like, see if there's a photographer, a videographer that's listening to this, and you were to give them a word of advice to get into this industry and to like move forward, what would it be?
I'm very much a person who just tells people to just do it.
Just do it. The Nike slogan, just do it.
Quite literally, though. But like, I don't really believe there's like a certain way to do things. And, you know, we've kind of touched on that already. Like, it's kind of, I'm very much just like, if you're interested, do it. You know, find the cheapest camera you can find the cheapest software. You don't even need to do Adobe. You don't even need to like literally do whatever's free if you want, like, and just start. Like, even use your phone, you know, and then if you find yourself kind of like enjoying that and getting into it, then invest. You know, save and invest and improve your gear, and then once you outgrow that, do it again. You know, because I'm also a big believer in that gear doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, obviously in certain things, you know, maybe sport, wildlife, you kind of want the bigger lenses.
F1, you need like a quick lens.
Exactly. So in those instances, obviously gear matters, but when you're just starting out and you're just kind of, you're learning, doesn't matter at all. Like literally just start. I know it sounds so like lame, but I've always been one of those people that's like, if you're interested, just do it. What is holding you back? You know, it's just taking photos, you know?
Peter McKinnon said it really well. He was like, getting it done is better than getting it right.
Yeah, just do it.
Literally just do it, and then like you learn from your mistakes.
Exactly.
And that's a big part of. I'm gonna text you every day to get into YouTube now, but because honestly, I think you'd
probably
love it.
need it.
Yeah, I think you'd love it as well.
Get off your arse.
Any advice you need on that? Because like what you'll do is you'll post your first like 5 videos, and then you'll start looking at your analytics, and you'll be like, well, why is there? You know, you start learning from that. I can't remember where I was going with that. What was I going to say? Peter McKinnon. Yeah. So you learn from your mistakes, and you learn from doing things. But if you're too scared to take that first step, you're never going to learn, and you're never going to get good at anything.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I didn't watch it, but I did remember him coming out with a video. He basically was talking about how he lost
because he wasn't posting.
Because he wasn't posting.
It was the problem with just not. But that's again treating it like 9 to 5. Because creativity won't always come to you.
Exactly. You kind of have to force it. You have to force motivation.
Yeah. And he's also got into it. Like if you look at his stories, he's a really motivational guy. He started getting into like running every morning and then sitting at the desk and figuring out a video. Yeah. And that and also journaling. He's a huge
Yeah.
journalist. He's
Well, I mean, you could be.
but he journals all the time now.
Yeah.
And I think because it just, he's figured out that it really helps him. And I think when you're young and you're starting in it, like you're kind of fueled by kind of just you're fueled by motivation. You have so much, but that starts to go when you get older. It's like we were talking about. You go to Glencoe for the 100th time, and you're like, well, I've had better weather, so do I need to do anything?
Yeah, exactly. No, the van's great, but it does make us complacent for sure. But yeah, I did appreciate that video that you put out, Peter McKinnon, because it is true. Like, you just need to do it, and that kind of goes back to our chat of motivation. How I need external motivation. And getting myself to just do it is, it's so rich of me to say to people, just do it. But like, I always sit there and like,
in the bed with the curtain
in the bed with my Switch playing Pokemon, and then I'm there like, I should probably work, and then I don't. So, but I know people are better than I am, so I still encourage people to do it, because if they can, they should. I'm unfortunately one of those people that struggle with it, but I still believe in the rhetoric that I should just do it, because when I do it, it's great. Yeah. And I do achieve things. And when I do get that motivation, it's good things happen. And it's the same with starting out. It's always so much more exciting.
It's so, I would do anything to go back to when I was like 22.
I know.
And just like, anything you post you think is fucking incredible.
Wasn't it so fun?
Yeah.
It was so
You'd
fun.
post everything as well. And also that was the day that on Instagram, at least, you only posted one photo.
Yeah.
So you had so much content.
I know.
Instead of doing these stupid carousels.
Now I've got like months work in just one carousel. Oh, honestly, those days were so fun. They're like, you could just...
And you had no followers. Like I at least at that point, I had like, it wasn't like I was posting for people to see. I was posting for myself.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really important bit about like, there's the branded gigs that are great for people starting out, but you need to do passion projects that you are excited about.
Well, I think that's partly how I keep getting work through Instagram, is because most of it is just passion projects.
Yeah.
Most of it is just what I love doing. And I'd say I've always tried to keep that about 90%, because I think the personal aspect of that is what is appealing.
It's drawing people in.
Yeah. I think because at the moment my feed's like really white. And it's literally just because...
It's very clean though. I like
Thank
it.
you. It's literally just because I love snow and I love winter. And I used...
Do you go through themes? Like
I do, yeah.
Why? Okay, I was wondering.
Every now and then I'm like, I'll go through a blue theme or an orange theme or a colorful theme. And then last year I kind of lost that way a bit. I kind of stopped caring and I just posted whatever. And then I was like, you know what? Like, I went through a scroll through my feed and I was like, oh, I miss doing like my colors. So I thought I'll bring the white feed back again, and then I'll try and I'll just see where that takes me. But yeah, I quite like the kind of, also the not weather. What's seasons?
Yeah, like like seasonality of your feed almost.
Yeah, like I like when it's winter, it looks winter. When it's summer, it looks summer.
Yeah.
Except it never looks autumnal because our autumn lasts like a day.
Yeah, I miss it every year.
Yes, same.
Yeah, I miss it every year. It's so annoying.
Like, we never have a nice autumn. It's always just like, it'll be there for like an hour and then a wind will come and just blow it all away.
All the leaves.
The whole thing's gone. So I never really get autumnal. But yeah, I quite like the fact that I can just kind of go by different color themes. And the one color I can't do though is green. I suck at green.
Yeah, green's tough. There is a grade that I've got. There's a preset I made ages ago that's kind of green. It just doesn't really go with much. I feel like when you mix green with a sunset or sun, so I normally try to shoot that. Okay, it just doesn't really like.
No. It's just green. It doesn't work. It's so nice in person though. Yeah. Like, I love being in a forest.
Make orange.
Look how green it is. It's so pretty. And then I edit it. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
Green.
What's your editing process? Like, let's say you get back from a shoot. You're in Finland. You get back from a shoot. You're all, transferring data. Do you sit down in Finland and you're really excited about photos and you start editing there, or do you wait?
I used to. There was a phase where Jack and I were like, honestly, we talk about this all the time, how motivated we were.
To get photos live.
Yeah, and literally we did one trip in Iceland where we would import and then edit from the day and then post as stories, like a recap of our day.
Yeah.
And we did it on the day. And then
That's motivation. That is.
yeah, and I was like, where did that come from? Like, I've never felt that motivation since. Like, what? And then, and I would never do that again, because I'm just like, now I want to take my time. Now I mean, Jack can still whip out stories. I don't know how he does it.
Jack is, I've been following Jack for a long time, and he's unbelievably fast.
I don't know how he puts us all to shame.
Yeah. Does he have like presets? Like, is that how he does it? Or like, how does he?
I don't.
Because all his edits seem different as well. Like, there's quite a lot of people you can look at and be like, well, they're using the same preset in a slightly different way. And you're like, I get that because it's speed. Yeah. But Jack, it's just all different.
Yeah, I don't know really. I try. We're very good at separating our processes because we don't want to mold into the same person.
Yeah.
So
you'd probably get upset with each other as well if you started doing that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So because we live in a van in such tight space, we always try and give each other as much space as possible, and we try not to be in each other's way. And so whenever he's doing his stories, I actually never know. He's very like
secretive.
But not on purpose.
Yeah.
Like I try not to pay any attention. Like, I let him do his thing. He lets me do mine. And and then all of a sudden I'll be on Instagram, and then he's just like, he's got like just all the stories. And I'm just like, when? Yeah. When did you do that? But I think he's imported his presets into Lightroom Mobile.
Yeah, and he just quickly
edits them really quickly. But I think he puts it straight from the camera to his phone while he's out and about now.
Oh, how did you? Oh, just Bluetooth.
I think so. And you can just select. What he does.
Because Leica does that. There's like an app, and you can sync everything over.
I think that's what he does in the Sony. Yeah. I don't know if he does it all the time.
Yeah.
But there's times.
If there's something he likes.
Yeah. Like, we'll be like driving, and if he's not driving, he'll be doing stories.
Yeah.
And I'll be sleeping. So every time I wake up, I'm like, for God's sake.
Yeah,
like,
he's done it all.
Yeah, like, every single time. Yes, I don't know how he does it, and we've just not done. So yeah, to answer your question about my process, I literally just edit. I just import now, and then I just kind of take my time. Like, I haven't really looked at any of the Finland stuff properly. I've looked at the video because I was most excited about that, because obviously I'm shifting to video.
Yeah.
So, and unfortunately, I didn't take very many photos, which was kind of soul crushing.
Yeah, well, that's an issue, isn't it? Because you need to prioritize one of them.
Yeah.
That's I was talking to this with Jacob the other day, because we do both. Yeah. And like, you see so many photographers that will wait for the exact light, and that's so fair, because they normally get the best photo.
Yeah.
But when you do video and photo, it's like, hurry the fuck up.
Yeah, you don't
so you
get
just
to
go,
that.
And then you quickly switch, or you have two bodies and you switch between the bodies.
Yeah, so I tried two. I have the A7 IV, which is a hybrid camera. Yeah. So you can do video and photo. But I hated the idea of switching between.
Yeah.
Like, that, for me, in my brain and how it works, it felt like a barrier. Yeah. And I was like, I don't like that. I'm not going to. And then it made me not do videos. So that's when I got the ZV-1, which is like the dedicated, strictly video. I mean, it can shoot photo, but it's 12 megapixel. Is it not? Yeah. So there's no incentive to really shoot photo on it. So the moment I got the dedicated camera, it just changed video for me. It became enjoyable. It was kind of like, it was exciting. Yeah. And it made me eager to shoot. It just
changed it a little bit.
It just changed it. Yeah, it was so different to the A7 IV, where there was that barrier. I mean, it's not even really a barrier; it's a switch. Like, I need.
But your brain makes.
But my brain made it a barrier. Yeah. And Jack still shoots in the A7 IV. He's very good at switching in between. But I'm very much like, nope, I need a dedicated camera.
Yeah. And
in Finland, I tried to have two bodies, so I would try and shoot on.
It's quite hard to wrap your.
I couldn't do it.
It's just I normally try and stick to video, and then if I've got people filming with me, I'll be like, "Can you focus on whatever?"
Yeah. So thankfully, because there were 6 of us, like, everyone was so nice. They gave me their photos, and I didn't have to feel like I was missing out. But they were also so supportive. Just like, they kept reminding me, like, it's okay, like, you're trying to get better, you're trying to improve, you need to dedicate.
You're not going to be where you were in photography because you've spent 6 years getting to that place.
Exactly. It was actually quite funny because my friend Haley, she's so sweet. She was like, Sarah, don't stress, because the photos that you do take, your hit rate is going to be so strong. Yeah. And I was like, no, it's not. Like, it will be shit. She's like, no, trust me, it will. And then I was scrolling through all the photos, like, oh my God, that one's nice. And I saw that it was my camera. And I was like, oh, you bitch. I was like, you did me wrong. Like, you proved me right. Prove me wrong, prove me right. I don't know. Whatever. Anyways, I was there just like, God's sake, Haley, why are you always right? I was like, but it kind of gave me perspective. I was like, I need to calm down. Like, I can do photos. And when I do it, it'll be okay. Like, that's second nature now.
Yeah.
It should be.
It's always going to be second nature.
Yeah,
to you.
yeah.
Yeah, I think the natural progression is like you do photography, you then get into videography, and after videography, film camera starts to come back in. I think that's where at least Jacob and I, when we travel now, it's a lot more. But it's less those kind of shots, like influencer standards everyone has.
Yeah, we've moved on, haven't we?
We've moved on. That was 8 years ago. I don't know when that was, but I do think that the photos that stand out to me now are the more spur of the moment action shots.
I totally agree.
Stuff you can't replicate.
Yeah. Also, those that invoke memory, nostalgia, that make you kind of like. So what I'm trying to achieve with video is basically just trying to show emotion. I kind of like. I know we were talking about it earlier, where everything's fast cut, fast pace, and you get like 6 seconds. For me, I just want to show. The reason I chose Finland as the first time to do my vlog is because all my friends are just so funny, and like we have so much laughter and such a good time, and I just wanted to capture that and kind of make people feel that emotion as well. Like, oh, that's rude.
It's all right.
That's Jack Anstey calling me rude. I'll put my phone on silent. Sorry.
It's okay.
Fuck off. I totally lost my train of thought.
It gives you nostalgia.
Yeah, so my kind of like, I just want more emotion. I don't want it to be cinematic. I would, if people can watch things that I capture and go, oh my God, they have such a good time, or oh my God, I want that to be me and my friends. That means so much more to me than the shot looking pristine. Yeah, I think.
But it also draws more and more, like the you're so right. There was a phase of like Sam Colder-esque phase of like cinematic, beautiful sunsets and sunrises and all this kind of stuff. And then I feel like now you're more drawn to the person and emotion.
Yeah, yeah.
And again, I'll send you the video. There's a guy called Jacob Mahamalo. I'm definitely butchering his second name. I've done that twice now. But he's really great. He's a really young guy. And his new video is kind of like, it's actually just showing you everything. It's not like he gets the cinematic stuff, but like it's showing you the shit bits in between. Yeah. And it's so much more real.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it's so much more like that's what people genuinely connect with. Especially, it's really odd when you find this when you do YouTube. You look at your retention graph, and the retention graph normally over a cinematic thing goes down.
Interesting.
So people don't care about the cinematics. They care about the stuff in between. Yeah. Which is, it's interesting that that's what they connect with instead of, because we would fixate over the perfect light, color grade, how it looks, whereas they actually don't really care.
Well, that makes so much sense because I don't actually watch a lot of YouTube, but the people that I do watch mostly shoot on GoPros. Yeah. They don't even have cameras.
The Outdoor Boys?
Sorry?
Have you seen the Outdoor Boys?
No, I don't know them.
Oh my God. I need to send you it right now.
Okay.
He's an older guy. Okay. He used to be a lawyer. Okay. And he all he does is goes outdoors and like wild camps in like Scandinavia. Oh. And he just shoots on GoPros, and he's got like, he is so famous now.
That is perfect. That sounds exactly. There's one guy that I absolutely adore.
13 million subscribers.
Wow.
Like, watch one of his videos and you're going to be totally taken in by him.
He's sending on WhatsApp or
I'll send you on WhatsApp. There we go. He's unbelievable. Like, seriously unbelievable. And he's like so smart as well. He's like, the reason that you put branches in the floor before you sleep in the snow is because most of your body heat goes through that. And you're like, how the hell did you know that? Like, you're a lawyer. You're a lawyer. How do you know how to like survive in the wilderness?
Jack's gonna love this. This is literally what Jack wants to do. He did one recently where he posted he wanted to build a shelter out in like the forest, and like it was a complete fail. But it was great. Like, he got some nice like messages and stuff, and it was like that stuff that he'd like to do. Yeah.
But so that's what to do. Is like, and I'm sure that guy, the Outdoor Boys, like, he's probably failed a bunch of times.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It's quite funny. His kid is like taking in his footsteps and is going out, and his kids must be like 12.
So cute.
So his kid went out to Scandinavia obviously his dad was nearby and he GoPro'd it, and then he like called his dad crying and was like, I can't build my campsite. And his dad came over and built it for him and was like, well, this is why. But it's interesting, his dad basically said to him, like, you know, it's funny that you've made that mistake because I made exactly the same mistake.
There you go.
And that's how you learn.
It's probably, it's the learning process. And there's probably something that maybe humans look at that maybe looks logical, but actually probably isn't. There's probably some like physics there that kind of goes, no, you actually need to do it this way, even though it doesn't seem that. Because the way that when Jack was trying to build like the shelter,
the fort kind of thing,
it looked great, but it
functionally didn't work.
Well, yeah, exactly. So you kind of think like, even though it looks like it would work, it didn't. So there's probably somewhere that in our brains we just go, that'll work, and then it goes, nope. But it's actually funny that you mention these guys, because actually what's funny, I don't watch any kind of outdoor
YouTube kind of stuff.
The people I watch are Storer.
Oh my god, when the anxiety of them like jumping over buildings and stuff like that.
I love them. I like Jack and I have subscribed to their join for like 3 years now. like I literally pay for them to watch their stuff. And it's the only people that I've subscribed to like fully.
There was a ginger guy that used to do that as well, but he got banned.
Oh no.
Do you remember him? I used to watch him all the time, and he'd do essentially the same thing. He'd just like jump over buildings and like, but he was doing tons of illegal stuff.
Oh, okay.
And so like eventually he started getting like, it was bad. I think he might be pals with the Storer guys.
Maybe. I don't know.
It's funny you watch them because I've also watched them. And it always gives me anxiety. I'm like,
but I absolutely love them because they are really creative and they create such beautiful like adverts for their clothes. Yeah. But they that's when they do shoot on proper cameras, but everything else is GoPro.
Yeah, they just attach it to their chest.
Yeah, they put it in their mouth and run with it, and I'm like, great. Like I'm more just like, it's not the quality. It's just just GoPro. It's not like fantastic, but I've watched them religiously for like 4 years now.
Well, GoPro's it's like GoPro's good. Like I think that unpolished work is becoming actually more popular than polished. We went through a phase of like, it needs to be, I mentioned Sam Colder a lot. He's just a really good editor. It needs to be Sam Colder-esque, polished, finessed. And now actually the stuff that's raw, that's real, it means a lot more to people.
I think that's actually because of AI, you know.
Because you know it's real.
Yeah. You can guarantee that something that looks a bit shit is real.
This doesn't look quite as polished.
Yeah, exactly. But also I think we're also kind of longing for human emotion and human connection. Yeah. So I think with the push for everything AI and everything being polished, everyone's kind of like, what's real? Yeah. You know, and we're kind of not trusting our own eyes anymore. And I think that's why YouTube is so nice now, finding people that are just genuine. There's this guy, the account I believe is called No Bullshit Just Sailing. Okay. And he literally just sails from like Iceland to Greenland
so cool.
And then back to Norway, or I don't even know, but I'm doing that completely wrong. But I love him. He's so wholesome. He just sails and he just talks about his sailing, and I'm like, I could watch this for hours. Like you're so cute. And it's literally just because, and it's just no bullshit. It's just sailing.
It's people that are genuinely like themselves.
Yeah.
And I think that, especially on YouTube, and this is something to be definitely wary about, because you have channels that like inspire you, but typically when you start a channel and you start presenting, because that's technically what it is, you copy the channel that you aspire to be to, because that's what you want to be like. Yeah. But you can't always maintain that.
You have to be you.
Yeah, there's so many channels that I used to be friends with when I was young, and they would come on and they'd be like, "Yeah, what's up, guys?" And I'm like, "That's not you."
What's up, everybody?
That's not
it's like,
you.
No,
at all.
You're not Peter McKinnon.
Exactly. But they'd all try to be him.
Yeah.
Like, but that one lasted.
Or like Casey Neistat, he was the other one. Yeah.
He was huge when I was young. Yeah, he was huge.
Oh god. Yeah, those two. Like 2017 were like peak.
Oh, the peak YouTube years. I wish that I'd got into Instagram and YouTube at that point.
I know. I'm the same. I'm like 2 years too late. Yeah. I think.
Yeah. I reckon if I'd got into it, probably 2 years prior. Yeah. I would have been so far ahead. Yeah. Where I am now. Yeah. Like massively, just because of the amount of, like, there was less competition, there was less counts.
It's true.
Even on the YouTube space with the luxury watches, there was maybe 4 competitors when I went live.
Really?
And now there's like 40.
Oh,
and it's like, it's just growing and growing and
God.
growing. And it's getting harder and harder and harder to get views. It's
Oh,
like,
God. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, that's the only way to stand out now. It's just be yourself, because you're the only thing that's different to everyone else.
Exactly.
Because you can have the same camera gear, you can have the same shots, you can have the same LUTs, edits, like you can, but the only thing that's different is you.
Yeah,
exactly. And that's
exactly.
the only thing that can be appealing to people. And I think that's why there's such a push for personal brands now as well.
Exactly. And that's
Yeah.
why it's so, yeah, people want, like, this is talking from, like, 'cause I do the marketing side of Chisholm Hunter. If we were to get an influencer or a brand, you hire them based on the person.
Yeah.
So, like, if the person's a good person and it's trustworthy and they love what they do and you can tell and they're not fake, you'd hire based on that.
Yeah.
Instead
Yeah,
of it
yeah, yeah.
being the other way around.
Exactly. And then the quality is just like the cherry on top, isn't it?
Quality cherry on top.
Yeah,
Like with
yeah.
your photography, you demand a certain, you probably, if I was to come to you and want to work with you as a brand, I would be like, well, you're going to get brilliant quality. But what's even better is the contacts that you have.
Yeah, yeah.
So people hire based on like the connections that it can make, the connections around you
Yeah.
as well. So you might say, well, if you get Sarah and she does some work for us, then their group will all talk about that. And then all of
Yeah.
a sudden you have lots of people talking about it.
It's
And then
true.
it'll go, yeah.
It's true. I remember that happened when I got work from 66 North. That was,
You've worked with 66 North.
I was an ambassador for them for a year.
Shut up. I've got contact, and again, it's the financial year ending, and they were like, well, we can give you some free jumpers, but we can't.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, fair enough. So I'm going to try and reach back out to them. But that's
Yeah.
class.
Yeah, I was ambassador for them for about a year, but it was so funny the wave that happened after I got that contract, because I didn't realize how much influence I actually had
Yeah.
until that point, because literally I posted that I was the ambassador for them. And then I had like the 66 North jumper that now everyone wears.
I've literally got one that's
And
like
yeah,
upstairs.
like everyone has one.
Is it the white one? I've got the white one.
I wanted the white one,
I've got
but
the white
my
one.
contract ended. I was like, but I did really want the white one.
Yeah.
But I have the orange one, which is also nice because no one has the orange one, which is kind of fun. But like literally, we then went to Kendall Mountain Festival afterwards, and everyone was in the 66
Yeah.
North jumper, and I was just like, oh my,
What have I done?
what have I done? Literally, I was just like all my friends,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh God, like
Yeah.
I had no idea, like you guys were this keen, but they didn't have it until after, and it was kind of one of those shocking things that I was just like, oh my God, this actually works.
Yeah.
I was like,
Oh, it totally does.
I didn't realize it. You know, you think it works, but then you never get to actually see it in person. But to actually see people walk up to you and be like, oh, I got this because of you.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like, oh, it actually works.
Yeah.
It's like,
It's quite scary though.
yeah, it is.
Especially, so I've had a similar thing on the luxury watch side of things. So this is nerdy, but it's an Omega Seamaster.
Okay.
So, and I always talk about it in the videos because it's a watch I own and I love.
Nice.
And the amount of people that if they bump into me, they're like, I bought it and it's $6,000. And I'm like, please don't. Like, if you enjoy it and you love it, then fair
Go
enough.
for it, yeah.
But like, don't buy it just because I have it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just an idiot.
It kind of like, it put into perspective for me. I was kind of
Yeah.
like, whoa. Because at Kendall Mountain Festival, I had all my friends had got it. And then 3 people walked up to me and was like, I got this because of you. And I was just like, oh,
Yeah.
oh my God.
Please don't.
Okay. Like, it was kind of crazy. I can't remember why I brought that up now though.
Brand deals, ambassador, 66 North. That's as far as I can go.
My ADHD brain is forgotten. Oh, well, you'll go back and you'll see what my...
Well, on the subject of ADHD, I think this is going to cut out soon.
Okay.
Last question. When you look back in your work, the entirety of all your work,
Okay.
what is the proudest moment?
Ooh, okay. Proudest moment. Probably, okay, there is this photo that I took when I drove from Scotland
Norway.
to Norway
Yeah.
on my own the first time.
10 days.
In my Ford Focus. 5 days of 12-hour driving straight.
Yeah.
Just like kind of in my head crying half the time. Like, so, and this is at the very start of my journey. But I made it to Finland, and there was this photo that I took with me stood next to a tree. Well, I didn't take it. I was with a lovely lady who pressed the shutter for me. Like, I set it up.
Yeah.
But she pressed the button for me. And I think that is probably my proudest moment because, and it's crazy because that's so far back. Like, that's the start. But I think for me, it was just like, that cemented this new journey.
It represented the start of something new.
Yeah. Like, if I were to ever get a tattoo, it'd probably be of that. Like that tree and me. Like, it just means so much to me. Because from that moment on, that's where this life began.
Yeah.
And that will always just kind of be so special to me. Like, I regularly look back on that photo and I'm like, that literally is what started this.
Yeah.
I drove to Norway, I took one photo, and then that was it. Like, the rest is kind of, then it just snowballed into what it is now. And I would have never thought that journey, that lonely journey,
would take you here.
and then a single tree, we stood next to a tree. It's so like simple, would lead to working with like Peak Design, 66 North, Polo Pro, being able to travel, living in a van. Like, it just snowballed into this crazy
adventure,
unique life that I'm so lucky to be able to live. And I imagine that girl who did that was not thinking that this is what it would become.
Like, what the hell?
Yeah, she'd be like, you just drove to Norway in a crisis. Like, this wasn't that. And now I'm just like, I'm living it, and I'm kind of going, wow, I just didn't expect it. And so, yeah, I think that one photo, maybe, proudest moment, but also most special, and what means the most to me. I can show you the photo if you want.
Well, I think, again, it goes to show, like, photography is about the emotion behind it.
Yeah.
And when you look at photos, like, see, like that influencer one, you're like, well, there's not really much emotion behind that because everyone has that shot and you've clearly set it up.
Yeah. Well, that's what's nice about this photo is that no one has a photo with that tree.
Well, yes, it's a unique tree.
It's a single tree that no one else has found because it's like in a really northern part of Finland that no one goes to.
Because you had to drive through the whole country.
Because you have to drive through the whole country to get there.
Yeah.
So it's quite nice that no one else also has that photo, and it's just very uniquely mine. And it just, it represents so much of my journey and so much of what I've achieved since then, which is, it's just really special to me.
Amazing. Well, listen, where can people find you if they're looking for you? I know you've got Instagram, but the YouTube channel is up and coming.
It's also The World with Sarah. It's the same.
Okay.
Just keeping it simple. Nothing too extensive. I mean, it's weird because I was actually thinking that on the drive here because my brain was kind of going off on one. I was like, do I change my name because YouTube might be different? But I was like, nah, it's still The World. It's still me.
It's still you, still The World.
Yeah.
I think if that's your brand, then stick to it. I think trying to get your full name, just your full name, but it's probably taking, like, I've got a guy that's Harrison Brown in America, and he's got like 100, I've messaged him so many times, and
really?
I'm not allowed to message him anymore because I've done it. I'm like, I'll buy your username, just give me it. It's like, please.
Yeah, the thing is, my name is so dull. Sarah Rodgers.
No, it's not dull.
It's dull. I put in my middle name to spice it up a bit to show that I'm also Asian. So I'm like, Sarah Afika Rodgers. And then even then, Sarah Afika is so popular over on that side of the world. And so I'm like, Sarah Rodgers is dull on this side of the world. Sarah Afika is dull on that side of the world. So I'm just like, you know what? The world is Sarah. No one needs to know my full name.
Well, listen, thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it.
Thank
even
you
though
for
you
having me.
Didn't follow me before. It's fine.
And I didn't even know I met you. God, I'm so embarrassed about that. But genuinely, thank you for having me. And I've really enjoyed speaking to you.
And you'll listen to the podcast.
I will listen to the podcast. I'll get checked.